Thanks to nice people. Jim Lowe here. Lindsey Nelson in the pregame next on WNEW New York Metro Media Radio.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lindsey Nelson. This is the New York Mets pregame show.
Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kitty and bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really...
In just 10 minutes, it'll be the Mets and the Cincinnati Reds in their final meeting of the season here at Shea Stadium. Coming to you from here at Shea, this pregame show is brought to you by Jimmy's Backyard. Why look all over town for a good restaurant when it's right at Jimmy's Backyard? Well, this is the day of the scheduled big shootout at Shea. Tom Seaver returning to Shea for the first time in an alien uniform, that of the Cincinnati Reds, following his trade on the night of June 15th. And he's going against Jerry Koosman, who asked for the assignment. It'll be the first time, of course, that they have opposed each other in National League competition. A big crowd is on hand at Shea. And a fellow who knows both of them about as well as anybody could is Bud Harrelson. Bud Harrelson, of course, came up in the New York Mets organization, as did Seaver and Koosman. Bud got to the major leagues a little bit ahead of Koosman. He and Seaver, I think, and I'll check this with him a little later, were about a year ahead of Koosman as they came up. But Bud, of course, roomed with Tom Seaver. He's been close to both of them. We want to get some opinions from Bud Harrelson as to what might happen and some opinions and observations about the meeting of Seaver and Koosman. We'll do that in just a moment right after this message. Turn your restaurant doldrums into an exciting dining experience. Jimmy's Backyard is a warm, friendly place where you can partake of an enjoyable dinner in an atmosphere of quiet conviviality. The menu overflows with seafood varieties. Think about the thrill of being presented with a baked stuffed lobster, beautiful to the eye and delectable to the taste. Consider our surf and turf, created to give you an exciting escapade in dining, and salads prepared with the respect and tender loving care that salads require to be freshly delicious. The many varieties of seafoods and steaks. Jimmy's Backyard prepares them to entice, excite, and invite you. Just ask Peter, the maitre d', and he'll suggest a meal that your taste buds will relish. He might even surprise you with a special creation of his own. Jimmy's Backyard, 415 Main Street, Port Washington, on the beautiful shores of Manhasset Bay. An easy 10 minutes from the Long Island Expressway. Jimmy's Backyard. They know that they're a very special restaurant because they cater to their customers with pride and elegance in food, service, and decor. Call Peter for further information and reservations at 516-767-6070. Jimmy's Backyard, 415 Main Street, Port Washington, 516-767-6070. We're in the Met Clubhouse talking to Bud Harrelson. Bud, you room with Tom Seaver how long?
8 years, 8 seasons.
8 seasons. Now, you get to know a fella pretty well in that length of time, don't you?
About as well as you know your own brother, growing up with your own brother.
Is there going to be some emotion involved when you get up to the plate today? You're in the starting lineup, and you're going to be facing Seaver. First time, of course, in competition. Will there be any emotion involved in that?
Oh, I think so, Lindsey. There was some this morning eating breakfast and coming to the ballpark. I happened to get here the same time as Tom. I didn't come with him. We walked across the field, looked at the field and the grass, and there's a lot of emotion. Don't know yet how I'm going to do. If I can unwind a little bit, I think I'll do quite well. It's still baseball. We're still people with jobs, and to me, it's one of the biggest games I think I've ever played in. Maybe a lot of people don't feel that way, but there aren't many fellas that live with somebody for 8 years or play with them for 10 and then have to go out and face them. I thought it would never happen. You know, a similar situation was when we got Mays, watching him play as a kid, growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, going to the ballpark, and then signing with the Mets and not the Giants and saying, okay, I'll never play with Willie because you expect the guy is going to be there forever and ever and ever, and I thought that of Tom.
You know, I feel the same way you do about the ball game as you come out to the ballpark and broadcast them day after day. A lot of ball games become just another ball game. They become a day's work at the stadium. I've looked forward to this. I'm interested to see just what's going to happen between these two fellows. Of course, pitchers don't really oppose each other. This has always been sort of a misnomer. Pitchers oppose the opposing lineup is what they do. So against each other, they don't really oppose each other, except in this case, it's going to be interesting to see Seaver bat against Koosman and Koosman bat against Seaver because each likes to take some pride in his hitting in any case.
They've bragged about their hitting for years, you know, and actually I can't even get involved in it. Both of them probably have as many home runs as I do, but they talk about hits, lifetime hits, and how many RBIs they get during the season, who's going to lead the ball club in total hits as far as pitchers go. That's their competition. But I'm like you, Lindsey. They're not really opposing each other. One of them is going to be a winner, or maybe neither one of them is going to be a winner. But they're going to go out there and pitch their best. It's great to see. It's great to see rivalry amongst friends, and you know it's still going to be honest, and it's going to be 100%.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody will be doing his best. I was delighted when I checked the lineup to see that manager Joe Torre has Cranepool in right field hitting cleanup this afternoon.
Yeah, I guess figuring that possibly Cranepool knows Seaver as well as anybody. That's okay. You know, I've seen Seaver, but from the other end of the ball. I've never really seen the Tom Seaver as the ball is coming in. I've never caught him. I've never really faced him except in a little slight batting practice when he's not really trying. So it's a whole new experience because we're going to be seeing the ball from the other end.
What about the two fellas now? Tom Seaver's credentials as a major league pitcher are in perfect order. There's without a doubt he's one of the finest pitchers that ever pitched in the major leagues. But what about the fella? Sometimes he does get a little emotional, but it doesn't show in his professional performance. Koosman, on the other hand, has always given a lot of people the impression of being sort of a riverboat gambler. I'm sure that he has the same emotions, but sometimes he masks them a little better, it seems.
That's true. It's the same with me and other shortstops who're supposed to play like me. I am emotional. I let emotions affect me, but that's me. And you're right with Tom. I think Koo's a lot more emotional than people think he is. Mm-hmm. So it's really a matter of who puts the best game together, and I know both of them are going to be nervous. I've got knots in my stomach, and I think possibly when that first pitch comes whizzing in there, I don't expect it to be a change-up. Things will change for me.
Well, I'm sure they'll change for everybody. Now, in the history of the New York Mets, they've had two pitchers that have had 1,000 or more strikeouts. The first one was Seaver. Second one was Koosman. Koosman sort of, without any doubt, lived in the shadow of Tom Seaver as long as they both won the staff. It was inevitable. I always thought Koosman handled that about as well as anybody could have.
Yes, definitely. When Tom was here first, of course, being the big star, Jerry's been a star in his own right, and he's such a gentleman that he hasn't really complained about it. He's just gone out and done his job, and a tremendous job. He's had great seasons for us. They're similar pitchers. They're power pitchers. Tom is more of a challenging pitcher than Koo. Koo's got a fine slider and a curveball, and Tom is, when he doesn't have that, he doesn't use it. Tom doesn't really fool himself. He's a great self-analyst, Tom is. He walks out there. He doesn't try to get you out the time he got you out before, because let's face it, they have books on you too. If he has a good fastball in the bullpen, he uses his fastball. If he's got a good slider, he uses his slider. So you never know what he's going to do or how he's going to pitch. He might power pitch you one time. That's his game, really, power pitching. I don't expect him to throw us 100 change-ups and slow curveballs today.
I shouldn't expect so. Let's go back now to the days when Tom Seaver first came to the major leagues. We know what his career has turned out to be. In those early years, did he have any of the same doubts and fears that most people in most trades have about whether or not he really would be able to excel at this game?
I don't know. I met Tom. I remember him walking into spring training in Hempstead, Florida. He was late because he had signed out of USC, and we had already started our spring training. We had our teams, a AAA ball club on this field and a AA on the other field. He walked in, he had that maroon USC shirt. He walked out there, and he just laid the ball in there, and we hit it, and I said, I like this guy. He's not trying to impress anybody. He ran, he did his work, and you've watched him year after year. He goes out, he may have a bad outing, he goes out, he gets his work in, he throws on the side, he gets his running, and he looks at films, he studies the hitters, and goes out, and it's all forgotten. And he's been that way throughout. He's been very sure of himself. At least this is what he relates to me. He knows what he's doing when he gets out there, and if you beat him, he pats you on the back, and he's willing to admit that he's human and that he's going to make mistakes. But he's a worker, and he's a professional, and I can honestly say he's one of the finest men I've ever met in baseball.
What about the relationship between Koosman and Seaver? Are they really good friends?
I think they are. You know, we take a lot for granted. We've played for 10 years together. Koo's been here for, I guess, 9 or 10 years. And you just kind of come to the ballpark, hi Tom, hi Koo, and you go out to dinner on the road, and you never think that days like this are going to happen. And then I think you really realize how good friends Kuzman and Seaver are when they call each other on the road after the trade, and you're right, you communicate things that you didn't do maybe during the off season because you had the next year to look forward to in spring training, spending 190 some days consecutive together and looking at the same faces and the same jokes, and you know, so we take a lot for granted. And this is something that's changed. I think we are closer, Kuzman and Seaver and myself, than we were when we were playing together.
Bud Harrelson, thank you very much.
Thank you, Lindsey.
I'm Lindsey Nelson for Chip Sapola, and that's the New York Mets pregame show. Chip will be back tomorrow night at 7:50 with the pregame show. You're tuned to WNEW 1130 Metro Media Radio in New York, the home of the Mets.
The New York Mets are on the air.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and meet the Mets. Bring your kiddies and bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are...
At Shea Stadium in New York, it's the New York Mets playing the Cincinnati Reds. Today's game is brought to you by Household Finance. Come on in to HFC, where people use our money to get the most out of life. By Schaefer Beer, your last one tastes as good as your first. Astoria Federal Savings, now over $1 billion strong. Getty Premium and Getty Unleaded Regular, the higher octane gasoline with the lower price. By Dairy Lee, brought to you by the good folks of Dairy Lee, famous over 50 years for fresh dairy products. By Toyota, you ask for it, the New York Mets, you got it. You ask for quality-built cars and trucks, the 77 Toyotas, you got it. And by Channel, it's a whole lot more than a lumber store. All our sponsors are pleased to bring you Mets baseball on WNEW 1130. Well, hi, everybody. Bob Murphy with Ralph Kiner and Lindsey Nelson, greeting you from Shea Stadium and today's matchup between Jerry Kuzman and Tom Seaver. Huge crowd gathering at Shea Stadium. The weather is absolutely perfect. Today's broadcast comes to you through the courtesy of the New York Mets and radio station WNEW, and is authorized under radio rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the entertainment of our listening audience. Any publication, reproduction, or other use of the descriptions and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Mets is prohibited. Any commercial use or other use of the program is also prohibited unless authorized in writing by the Mets. The starting pitchers in today's game at Shea Stadium. On the mound for the Cincinnati Reds, three-time Cy Young Award winner, right-hander Tom Seaver. And on the mound for the New York Mets, last year a 21-game winner, Jerry Kuzman. We'll have the starting lineups for you in a moment, right after this message.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I asked for the sporty Celica GT liftback with the gutsy 5-speed overdrive transmission.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I asked for the Toyota Celica GT liftback because all the extras I wanted, like an AM/FM stereo radio, reclining bucket seats, steel-belted radial tires, tachometer, and power front disc brakes, were included in the price of the car.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I asked for a sporty car that my wife, Marcia, would think was a practical car.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I'm Marcia, and I asked for a practical car that my husband would think was a sporty car.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
Now for the starting lineups and batting orders for today's big game at Shea Stadium. Let's touch bases with Ralph Kiner.
All right, Bob Murphy. For the New York Mets, Lenny Randall will lead off. He'll be at third base. Batting second, the shortstop, Bud Harrelson. Batting third and playing left field, Steve Henderson. Batting fourth, the right fielder, Ed Kranepool. Batting fifth, playing first base, John Milner. Batting sixth, the catcher, Ron Hodges. Batting seventh, center fielder, Lee Mazzilli. Batting eighth, playing second base, Doug Flynn. And the pitcher, Jerry Kuzman, batting ninth. For the Cincinnati Reds, Pete Rose will lead off. He'll be at third base. Batting second, the second baseman, Joe Morgan. Batting third, right fielder, Ken Griffey. Batting fourth, the center fielder, George Foster. Batting fifth and catching, Johnny Bench. The sixth batter will be the shortstop, Dave Concepcion. Batting seventh, the first baseman, Dan Dreesen. The eighth batter will be the left fielder, Ed Armbruster. And Tom Seaver, the pitcher, batting ninth. A comparison of the two teams. Cincinnati Reds have a team batting average of 274. The Mets are hitting at a 243 clip. The Reds have hit 150 home runs to the Mets 76. And the Reds have 136 stolen bases to the Mets 69. So a tough job for Jerry Koosman as he faces Tom Seaver as he is going against the Big Red Machine. The Machine has pulled up to 9.5 games back of the Dodgers by winning the first 3 games of this series here. After the Cincinnati Reds leave town, Houston comes in for a 2-game series playing Monday night and Tuesday afternoon. Pat Zachary pitching for the Mets on Monday night. His record 6 wins, 12 losses. And J.R. Richard, 12-9 going for Houston. Tuesday afternoon, it'll be Nino Espinosa with a record of 6-10, and Houston will be naming their pitcher later on. So the final of this 4-game series, and it has drawn a lot of attention. We've had some big crowds here at Shea, and here today the crowd will come to somewhere around 45,000. We have a beautiful day for baseball. The field condition is excellent. A light breeze blowing toward left field, and we're waiting now for the Mets to take the field. The Reds and Mets have played 9 games so far this year, and Cincinnati has won 7 of the 9 played. In case you missed the scores of yesterday's ball games, the Reds beat the Mets 8-2. The Cubs beat the Dodgers 5-4. San Francisco beat Pittsburgh 5-1. Montreal defeated Atlanta 6-3. Philadelphia over Houston 5-4. St. Louis defeating San Diego 7-1. So in the Eastern Division, Philadelphia on top by 5.5 games. Chicago third, 7 games back. St. Louis fourth, 8 games out. Montreal 20.5 out, and the Mets 26.5 games behind. In the Western Division, the Dodgers lead the Cincinnati Reds by 9.5, Houston by 16.5, San Francisco by 18, San Diego by 21, and Atlanta by 29.5. In the American League, the Yankees continue their winning ways. They won 7 in a row now as they defeated Texas 6-2 yesterday. Baltimore over Minnesota 6-2. Kansas City knocked Boston off by a score of 5-2. Milwaukee over the White Sox 4-2. Cleveland defeating Oakland 5-4. Toronto over California 5-4. And Detroit beat Seattle 7-3. So in the Eastern Division of the American League, Boston's lead cut to a 1.5 games over Baltimore, and New York in a virtual tie for second, 1 point back of Baltimore in third. Detroit fourth, 16 back. Cleveland 17.5. Milwaukee 21. And Toronto 29.5. In the Western Division, Kansas City leading now by a 0.5 game over the White Sox. Texas also a 0.5 game back, but in third place, 1 point back of the White Sox. Minnesota in fourth place, 1 game back. California 9.5 out. Seattle 21.5 out. And Oakland 24 games out. Now the umpires are coming out on the field. And the lineup cards are being presented by Joe Torre and Sparky Anderson. It'll be Jim Quick behind home plate. Billy Williams, the umpire, at first. Dick Stello, the umpire, at second. And Bruce Fromming will be the umpire at third base. On the schedule in the National League, Houston against Philadelphia. And the Phillies have won 16 of their last 17 to increase their lead to 5.5 over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Atlanta playing in Montreal. San Francisco got a run in the top of the first. They're playing in Pittsburgh. Montefusco pitching for the Giants. He has a record of 6-9. Bruce Keeson pitching for Pittsburgh. His record 6-6. Pittsburgh has won 21 of their last 23 home games. The Dodgers are playing against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. San Diego playing St. Louis. Bob Ochinko pitching for the Padres, his record 5-8. Tom Underwood pitching for St. Louis, his record 7-8. The Cardinals have been doing very well. They have won 20 of their last 28, and they are 8 games back of the Phillies, and just 2.5 back of second place Pittsburgh. And now the New York Mets are taking the field. In the American League, the Yankees, having won 7 straight and 12 of their last 13, playing a night game in Texas. White Sox have a doubleheader in Milwaukee. They've lost 14 of their last 19. Baltimore playing Minnesota, Boston at Kansas City, Cleveland at Oakland, Toronto at California, and Detroit playing in Seattle. And now from Shea Stadium, our national anthem. National anthem, and we're about set to go in this first meeting with Tom Seaver pitching for the Cincinnati Reds. The Baltimore-Minnesota game posting the starting pitchers, Rudy May, who has won 13 and lost 11, going for the Orioles. Minnesota has lost 6 of their last 8, and Jeff Zahn pitching for the Twins, his record 11 and 10. Boston starters have been posted. Boston at Kansas City. The Red Sox have won 17 of their last 21. Don Assey pitching for Boston with a record of 3 and 1. Paul Splittorff going for Kansas City, his record 10 and 6. So that's the way the scoreboard reads as Jerry Koosman takes his warm-up pitches, preparatory to opening up against Pete Rose. Today is the 26th birthday of John Stearns and the 34th birthday of Felix Millan. So happy birthday to John and Felix. Felix Millan will be going back to his native land, Puerto Rico, to recuperate from his shoulder separation and broken collarbone, and will eventually return back to the Mets at the end of the season for additional observation by Dr. Parks, the Mets team physician. Well, we're set to go. Pete Rose stepping up into the batter's box, and on this beautiful day for baseball, a great matchup, and coming in to call the play-by-play, Bob Murphy.
Thank you very much, Ralph, and hi, everybody. The crowd is roaring from the very beginning. Pete Rose will lead off against Jerry Koosman. Rose hitting .318 against left-hand pitching this year. Here's the windup, and the first pitch of the game is under the knees, ball 1. Koosman's last start was in St. Louis against Bob Forsch, a game that he lost 2-0. Now the windup by the veteran left-hander. Here's the pitch on the way, a foul ball out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. Koosman has been a hard-luck pitcher throughout the year. He has lost 14 ball games, and in those 14 games, the Mets have scored a grand total of 20 runs. Now the windup, the pitch to Pete Rose, high and outside, ball 2. Koosman in today's game is working on 3 days rest instead of the normal 4. At his request, he wanted to work in today's game against Tom Seaver. The 2-1 delivery, drive in the air toward the right field line, and it's going to be in for a base hit, going back into the right field corner. Rose is on his way to second, and he has opened the ball game with a double into the right field corner. Joe Torre, trying to get more hitting into the lineup against Tom Seaver, has Ed Kranepool playing right field today. Had it been a very speedy outfielder in right, I do not think he would have had a play on that ball hit in the corner by Pete Rose. Rose was hitting right-handed and hit the ball into the right field corner. Now here's Joe Morgan batting an even .300. Morgan, 18 home runs and 67 runs batted in. On a beautiful afternoon, it's Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman on different sides of the field. Now Koosman checks the runner at second, the pitch to Morgan. An off-speed pitch high, 1 ball and no strikes. The Cincinnati Reds with a team batting average of .274. There are 5 National League clubs hitting .270 or more. Now the pitch on the way, and a strike call to the outside corner of the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jerry Koosman's lifetime record against Cincinnati, he has won 8 while losing 9. Ken Griffey bats third in the order. He is on deck. And George Foster is the cleanup batter. Lee Mazzilli a couple of strides to right center against Joe Morgan, and Jerry Koosman steps up. A high, brilliant, beautiful blue sky this afternoon, and comfortable temperatures in the low 70s. Now the pitch on the way, a swing and a miss and a curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. In strikeouts in the National League, Jerry Koosman ranks number 3, trailing only Phil Niekro and Steve Rogers. James Rodney Richard is 4th, and Tom Seaver is 5th. Pitching 1 and 2. Ground ball hit to shortstop. Buddy Harrelson up with it. Now the throw to first in time. Morgan is out, and the runner Rose holds at second base. 1 out and 1 on, and the number 3 hitter is Ken Griffey. Griffey is hitting .324 with 10 home runs and 41 runs batted in. The Reds picked up a game on the Dodgers yesterday by defeating the New York Mets while the Cubs beat the Dodgers. And so the Reds start today 9.5 games back. They were 9.5 back at the All-Star break, and they still feel they might get into a pennant race with the Dodgers. Neither team has played exceptionally well since the All-Star break. And a strike call to the outside corner to Ken Griffey. Meanwhile, the Phillies are the hottest thing around in the National League, and they are the winningest team in Major League Baseball. They've now won 75 ball games. They have a 5.5 game lead over the Pirates, 7 over Chicago, 8 over the Cardinals. Koosman set. The pitch to Griffey. He thought about a bunt, didn't offer, and the pitch was low inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. In the American League, it has tightened up in the American League East, where the Red Sox now lead the Orioles and the Yankees by only a game and a half. Even tighter in the American League West. The Royals are now on top. Chicago and Texas a half game back. High inside. And the Minnesota Twins only 1 game back. 1 game separating 4 teams in the Western Division of the American League. The count is 2-1 on Ken Griffey. Pete Rose on second base and 1 away, and the game just underway at Shea Stadium. From the stretch, here's the pitch. And a foul hit down the left field line. No play for Steve Henderson. And the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ronnie Hodges behind the plate today. John Milner at first. Doug Flynn playing second. Buddy Harrelson at short. And Lenny Randall is at third. Steve Henderson in left field. Lee Mazzilli in center. And Ed Kranepool is around and right. Now Koosman checks the runner at second. The 2-2 delivery. And it's a ground ball hit right at Doug Flynn. He's up with it. And he goes to Milner for the second out as Rose crosses to third. Now George Foster, the top slugger in Major League Baseball. Not only does he have marvelous power, but he's hitting .315. The Major League leader in home runs with 41, and in runs batted in with 117. So George Foster, the man with a solid bat, standing in to hit against Jerry Koosman. Mets have the infield straight away and deep. The outfield is deep, and Mazzilli moves a stride to left center. On the coaching lines at third, George Sugar and Sparky Anderson has Russ Nixon coaching first. Koosman will use the full windup. The pitch to Foster, too high, ball 1. He started him off with a fastball. Johnny Bench, hitting number 5, is the on-deck batter. Excitement just filling the air here at Shea this afternoon. Now the windup and the pitch on the way. It is low, ball 2. And I can well imagine that when Tom Seaver goes to the mound in the last half of the first inning, there will be a tremendous ovation from this big crowd at Shea Stadium. And what a feeling it will be for Tom. When Seaver and Koosman were introduced, when the lineups were presented, they both received a tremendous hit. For the real true Mets fan, I'm sure it kind of tears at the heart. Now the count 2-0 on George Foster. And the pitch on the way. Swing and a foul ball straight back. 2 balls, 1 strike. Weather just could not be better. Final game of the series. The Reds go home for a homestand. Mets have a game with the Astros here at Shea tomorrow night. Now Foster holding the bat off the right shoulder. Koosman a glance toward third. The 2-1 delivery. Swing and a foul tip. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now the count is 2-2 on George Foster. George already has far exceeded his home run total of a year ago, and he has almost equaled his RBI total of last year, and it led the league. He might very well hit 50 or more home runs and drive in over 150 runs this year. Now Koosman sighting in on his target. Here's the pitch. And a line drive base hit to left field. A run will score. Foster drives home Pete Rose, and the Reds lead 1-0. 118 runs batted in for George Foster. That ball was not hit hard at all. Kind of a soft line drive into short left field. Foster, by the way, is playing center field today. Against left-handed pitching, Sparky Anderson has Foster go to center and plays Ed Armbruster in left field. Now the hitter is Johnny Bench. Bench having a very successful year. 27 homers, 89 runs batted in. And the pitch high and away, ball 1. Bench had 2 RBIs in yesterday's ball game, won by the Reds 8-2. Now Koosman checks the runner at first, and he will throw over. The Reds have scored a run on a leadoff double by Pete Rose. He was hitting right-handed, doubled into the right field corner. Throw to first, again driving Foster back to the bag. Rose crossed over on Griffey's ground out, and he came in to score on a single to left by George Foster. So the Reds lead 1-0 here in the first inning. The pitch to Bench. High and away, ball 2. Dave Concepcion is the on-deck batter. Always hard to guess a big crowd at Shea Stadium, but as a guess and nothing more, I would say about 45,000. The 2-0 delivery, swing and a miss, a fastball. So Koosman fell behind. He had to challenge him, and he did it. And the count now is 2 balls and a strike. Mets playing the infield deep and figuring Johnny Bench as a pull hitter, and he certainly is. Now the pitch. Curveball, inside and low, 3-1. So Koosman behind on Johnny Bench, 3-1. And on a beautiful day in New York, we are underway, and the Reds have already provided Tom Seaver with a run. Koosman behind, 3-1. Let's keep an eye on Foster. He's not going. Ball 4. Fastball high, and Concepcion will come up. So the first inning is not an easy one for Jerry Koosman. Now the hitter is Dave Concepcion, batting at .268. Dave has 7 homers and 41 runs batted in. Coming out on deck is Dan Dreesen, the left-handed hitting first baseman. Ron Hodges stepping out to give a sign to Lenny Randle to play a little deeper against Dave Concepcion. Concepcion has some power, hits the ball hard, but he also has bunting skills and bunting speed. So he certainly has the talent to keep an infielder honest. Foster is on second and Bench is on first. There are 2 men away. Koosman is working very deliberately here in the first inning. Very emotional ball game for Jerry Koosman as well as Tom Seaver. Now here is Koosman making the 1-second stop, ready to work. And a line drive hit down the left field line, foul ball, no play. That was a hanging curveball, hit hard but foul down the left field line. Now Ronnie Hodges goes out, give Koosman a chance to relax a bit. Jerry pretty much calls his own ball game. The infield straight away and deep against Dave Concepcion. And Lee Mazzilli, the center fielder, a couple of steps toward left center. The Reds have a run home, and they have runners on first and second, 2 down. There isn't a soft spot in the Cincinnati batting order. When you have a team batting average of 274, there can't be any. Now the pitch on the way, and a strike called, a fastball in the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. In his last start in St. Louis, Jerry Koosman worked 7 superb innings, allowed 2 runs. And the pitch on the way, hit foul to the right, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tomorrow night in the opener of the 2-game Houston series, Pat Zachary will pitch for New York. He had a route-going victory over the St. Louis Cardinals his last start. Koosman with a 2-strike count on Dave Concepcion. Right-hand batter waiting. Now around comes the arm, and a high fly ball hit into short right field. Might be trouble. Flynn going back. Makes the catch. Doug Flynn going out into the outfield to catch the high pop-up hit by Concepcion. 1 run on 2 hits, and there were 2 left on. In the middle of the first inning, and the crowd starts to roar for Tom Seaver. It is the Reds 1 and the Mets nothing.
If all you need is money, come on into HFC. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in to HFC.
Household Finance knows that how you spend your vacation really depends on how much you have to spend. Whether you need new camping gear or tickets for your dream vacation, come on into HFC for your vacation money.
Come on in. Come on in. Come on in to HFC.
HFC, an equal opportunity lender.
So come on in. Come on in. Come on in to HFC.
Household Finance. People use our money to get the most out of life.
Come on in to HFC.
At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500 and choose from a wide variety of repayment loans. For a large or small loan, call HFC in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
Well, we have been away for 1 minute for the commercial. The entire minute, this crowd has been standing. The crowd is still standing and applauding Tom Seaver as Tom throws in his warm-ups. What a feeling this must be for Tom Seaver. And what a feeling for the fans themselves. It's the kind of moment in sports that really makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Standing ovation continuing. George Foster did a nice thing. He stayed in the dugout, delaying things for Tom Seaver so Tom could get the long reception. Now Foster goes out to center field. Lenny Randall will lead off against Tom Seaver. This will be probably the first time Randall has ever hit against Tom Seaver. Unless he hit against him in spring training, and I'm not sure about that. So Lenny Randall, batting left-handed, hitting at .304, will lead off against Tom Seaver. Tom has won 13 while losing 5. He was 7-3 when he was traded to the Reds. He has won 6 and lost 2 since joining Cincinnati. He has had 7 complete games and 11 starts with the Reds. And a fly ball hit down the left field line. Moving over is Ed Armbruster, and he has it for the out. Randall hitting the first pitch, flies to left. Now here's Buddy Harrelson batting against Tom Seaver. Buddy, Jerry Koosman, Eddie Kranepool, all so close over the years to Tom Seaver. As a matter of fact, Buddy Harrelson and Tom Seaver were roommates on the road for 8 years. Seaver has won his last 3 starts and his last 5 decisions. Buddy Harrelson takes a strike on the outside corner. Buddy Harrelson hitting against Tom Seaver. Now the windup by Seaver. Here's the pitch. Missed the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. This has to be an unusual feeling for Buddy Harrelson, as well as for Tom Seaver. Pete Rose playing in close at third. And a fastball just under the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike. Steve Henderson will be up next, and then Eddie Kranepool. Joe Torre trying to get as much left-handed hitting into the lineup as possible against Tom Seaver. and that certainly makes sense. The 2-1 delivery and a foul ball back in the stands. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Reds won and the Mets nothing. We're in the last of the first inning. Now Buddy Harrelson stepping out of the batter's box for a moment. I imagine if Seaver were to pitch a one-hitter, he would hope that Buddy Harrelson was the man who had that one hit. Here's the 2-2 delivery. High and away, ball 3, 3-2. Tom Seaver has to be a little uptight right now and feeling very emotional after that marvelous reception he received. 3-2 delivery, fouled off by Buddy Harrelson. Following the game, the Reds go home to Cincinnati to play Montreal, the New York Mets, and then the Philadelphia Phillies. Reds now feel they can get back into a pennant race. They've closed some ground on the Dodgers. They're now 9.5 games back. 3-2 delivery, strike 3 call. Fastball over the outside corner. Steve Henderson, probably the key figure in the trade, will be coming up now. But the Mets receive 4 fine young ball players for Tom Seaver, and Henderson is being warmly received. He has done all anybody could hope for. As a rookie, walking right into the National League, he's hitting .312, 8 homers and 38 RBIs in 59 ball games. So now here is Henderson standing in against Tom Seaver, 2 outs and nobody on. The infield and the outfield straight away against the strong right-hand batter. Henderson hits mostly straight away or to right field. And the pitch on the way. Hard slider on the outside corner, strike 1 call. Seaver has that marvelous assortment of pitches. But of course, number 1 is a thundering fastball. A fastball that can be clocked between 95 and 100 miles an hour. Swing and a miss on a curveball, strike 2. Seaver throwing a slider and then a curve to Steve Henderson. Seems strange for us as broadcasters who worked every game that Tom Seaver pitched while he was with the Mets to see him in a Cincinnati uniform. Now the 2-strike delivery and a long foul fly hit to right field out of play. That ball hit very hard by Steve Henderson, but he was a little late. Ed Kranepool is the on-deck batter. The Reds got a run in the top of the first on a double by Pete Rose and a single by George Foster. For Foster, his 118th RBI. Now the pitch. Breaking ball outside and low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. On a beautiful day, a huge crowd turning out for the matchup between Koosman and Seaver. The 1-2 delivery. Strike 3, fastball, breaking ball on the outside corner. He got him with a hard slider, so Seaver struck out 2 of the 3. No runs, no hits, and none left. At the end of 1, Cincinnati 1 and New York nothing.
Taste Schaefer beer, consistently great Schaefer. From first beer to your last, it goes straight to your third. Beer after beer, the same great taste in Schaefer. Your last one always tastes as good as your first.
Schaefer consistency starts with country pure water. Heading for the Schaefer Brewery in Lehigh Valley. There, Schaefer's Kreuzen brewed. That's brewing twice. For over 130 years, it's given Schaefer a smooth, crisp, consistently great taste. Schaefer consistency. Put it to the test. You'll find your last one tastes as good as your first.
Beer after beer, the same great taste in Schaefer. Your last one always tastes as good as your first.
Schaefer Brewing Company, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania.
Now the second inning at Shea Stadium. And the batter for Cincinnati will be the first baseman, Dan Dreesen. Dan Dreesen, good left-hand batter out of Hilton Head, South Carolina. Reds traded Tony Perez away to the Montreal Expos, so Dreesen could become a regular. He has not been disappointing. He's hitting at .295. Here's the pitch on the way. Foul ball. Hit late. It goes behind third. Now the windup by Koosman. Here's the pitch. High inside, moving Dreesen off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. The outfield shades around to right. Now the 1-1 delivery, and a ground ball hit slowly. It will be foul down the first base line, where it's taken by Coach Russ Nixon. There will be an unusual Sunday night game in Philadelphia with the Astros playing the Phillies. The Phillies have won 16 of their last 17. They are now the winningest team in Major League Baseball. Dodgers had that distinction for a long time. And a foul ball into the crowd. In Montreal, Jeff Burroughs hit a 3-run homer today in the first inning. Burroughs now has 32. So Atlanta jumps out to a 3-0 lead in Montreal. Dick Ruthven of the Braves pitching against Stan Bonson. Bonson 7-5 with Montreal. And a ground ball base hit through the hole to left field for Dan Dreesen. Mets were playing Dreesen to pull, but instead he hit the ball to the opposite field and hit it right through where the shortstop normally would be playing. But Buddy was playing toward second, figuring that he would pull the ball. Now Ed Armbruster is the batter. Armbruster hitting .258. Panamanian speedster, right-hand batter. The Giants are in Pittsburgh again today. John Montefusco against Bruce Keeson, 1-1 in the second inning. The Pirates have won 21 of their last 23 home ball games. The Dodgers are at Wrigley Field, and they scored 2 runs in the first inning. Rick Rhoden, 13-8, and pitching for Chicago, a newcomer, Dennis Lamp. San Diego playing in St. Louis. That will be Bob Ochinko against Tom Underwood. And don't underestimate the Cardinals. They still are hot. They've won 20 of their last 28 ball games. In the American League, the Yankees will play a Sunday night ball game in Texas. And the Yankees are now a game and a half out after winning 7 in a row and 12 of their last 13. Ed Armbruster, right-hand batter, waiting the pitch by Koosman. Too high, a fastball, missing, ball 1. I have never seen Jerry work quite this deliberately. He is taking so much time between pitches. Just trying to feel his way along and get into the swing of the ball game here. The White Sox and the Brewers will play a doubleheader in Milwaukee. The pitch to Armbruster, fastball, a strike call, 1 ball and 1 strike. In the first game in Milwaukee, it'll be Ken Kravac against Moose Haas. The skidding White Sox have lost 14 of their last 19 ball games. There goes the runner. The pitch is high. The peg by Hodges. The slide out at second base. Dreesen thrown out by Ronnie Hodges with Doug Flynn covering. And that's a big one. Dan Dreesen caught stealing. It was a high fastball. Good pitch for Ronnie Hodges to work with. He fired the ball to Doug Flynn, and they got him. The Baltimore Orioles are playing in Minnesota. And Elliot Maddox has hit a 2-run homer for the Orioles in the first inning. Rudy May and Jeff Zahn are the pitchers. The Red Sox are in Kansas City. Don Ossie and Paul Splittorff the pitchers. Now a fastball taken, 3-1. Cleveland plays at Oakland, Toronto at California, and Detroit will be in Seattle. 3-1 delivery, foul ball, back upstairs, no play. Tom Seaver will be coming up next. Tom wearing a windbreaker and kneeling in the on-deck circle. Tom received about a 2-minute standing ovation when he went to the mound in the last of the first inning. Koosman is 3-2 on Ed Armbruster. The payoff pitch, low, ball 4, and he walked it. Well, Jerry is obviously a little nervous here today, and as expected, he rarely walks no one. Now here's the hand for Tom Seaver. Tom Seaver getting another ovation, this time as he comes up to hit. Now let's see if they have Seaver bunting. Many times they will with a pitcher batting with 1 down and a runner on. He's going to swing away on a ground ball hit towards second base. Flynn to Harrelson, back to first, double play. Seaver hitting into a double play. No runs, 1 hit, none left. In the middle of the second inning, the score, the Reds 1 and the Mets nothing.
If all you need is money, come on into HFC. Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
If you're thinking about a nice, faraway vacation, but money's keeping you close to home, come on into Household Finance. With an HFC travel loan, you could get away from it all. Far away from it all.
Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
HFC, an equal opportunity lender.
So come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
Household Finance, where people use our money to get the most out of life.
Come on in to HFC.
At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500 and choose from a wide variety of repayment loans. For a large or small loan, call HFC in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
For the New York Mets, Ed Kranepool will lead off against Tom Seaver. It will be Ed Kranepool, John Milner, and Ron Hodges batting in the last half of the second inning. The Reds took the lead on a double by Pete Rose and a run-scoring single by George Foster. Tomorrow night, the Mets and the Astros here at Shea Stadium. Pat Zachary will be on the mound, opposed by James Rodney Richard. And a great favorite with New York Mets fans, Eddie Kranepool. Standing in now against Tom Seaver. Kranepool has played very little of late. He might be a little rusty. Here's the windup by Seaver and the pitch. And a swing and a miss, strike one. Seaver off to a fast start, struck out 2 in the first inning. Unusual for Seaver, he's not striking hitters out quite as rapidly this year as in past years. And the pitch on the way, curve, swung on and missed, strike 2. Tom has had only one game in which he has been in double figures, and that was when he beat Cincinnati while still with the Mets and he struck out 10. He shut them out. Now the windup, the 2-strike delivery. Swing and a miss. He took Kranepool out with a fastball. The way the adrenaline will be flowing this afternoon, he may get very close or into the double figures. 3 in a row struck out by Tom Seaver. Now Milner coming up. John has a fast bat. He's a good fastball hitter. Milner hitting a .264. Pitch by Seaver. And Milner taking all the way. The pitch is over. Strike 1 call. Whereas Koosman has appeared to be a little nervous and a little bit wild, Seaver's control is right on. Towering fly ball hits shallow and in foul territory. On the warning track calling for it, Joe Morgan, and he makes the catch. So Milner has popped up to Morgan in foul territory. 2 outs and nobody on. It brings to the plate Ron Hodges. Ron batting at .308. What a perfect day for such an event. Media coverage around the batting cage while Seaver and the Reds were taking batting practice was like a World Series game. So many writers, so many photographers, broadcasters. It was hard to see Seaver in the batting cage. There were so many people around it. Now Seaver over the head. In comes the pitch to Hodges. Low inside, ball 1. Lee Mazzilli will be up next. The 1-0 delivery to Ron Hodges. Curveball missing inside and low. Ball 2, 2-0. The Reds lead 1-0, and we're in the second inning. Now Johnny Bench providing the target. Outside, ball 3, 3-0. Lee Mazzilli is the on-deck batter. Ronnie Hodges resetting himself in the batter's box after getting the information from Denny Summers. And the 3-0 delivery. On the outside corner, a call strike, and he was taking. So it's 3-1. Mazzilli loosening up in the on-deck circle. Mets have not had a hit. Seaver has retired 5 in a row. And it's over at the knees, strike 2. So Hodges taking again, and now it is 3-2. About the only thing that has escaped Tom Seaver in his fantastic career has been a no-hitter. And a swing and a miss. He struck him out with a fastball. Oh, what a blazing fastball that was. He came from behind. He was behind 3-0, and he struck out Ronnie Hodges. So Seaver has fanned 4 in the first 2 innings. No runs, no hits, and none left. And at the end of 2 innings at Shea, the Reds won and the Mets nothing.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
Hey, I asked for the Celica GT hardtop. See, it's sporty, and I got a whole car full of extras that I didn't pay extra for.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I wanted some excitement in my life, so I asked for the Celica GT. Is it exciting?
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
Hey, listen, I shopped around to find out if I could find a better built small car than Toyota. I couldn't.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
I wanted technical excellence, a big 2.2-liter engine, a 5-speed overdrive transmission, McPherson-struck front suspension, and I wanted it to last for a long time.
You asked for it, you got it, Toyota.
Now the 3rd inning at Shea, and to pick up the action, Ralph Kiner.
Thank you, Bob Murphy, and hi, everyone. Pete Rose, the bat for the 2nd time. His first time up, he doubled and scored on a base hit by George Foster. The Reds leading by a score of 1-0. And Jerry Kuzman with a fastball, and he gets a called strike. Rose has had 13 hits and 14 times, he has 3 hits and 14 times up in this series. And a fastball again back to the plate and foul back into the stands. It's strike 2. Rose hitting .299. He'll have to increase his base hit production to get 200 hits this year. At his present rate, he'll be just under 200, and a curveball by Kuzman is low. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. 8 times in his career, Rose has had 200 or more hits in a single season. He has played in 614 consecutive games. That is the most by an active player in the major leagues. And a ground ball off a curveball hit to the second baseman, Doug Flynn. Flynn's throw to first base to Milner in time for the out. That will bring up Joe Morgan. Morgan grounded out to short his first time up, batting .299. Morgan with 18 home runs, 67 runs batted in. He has 38 stolen bases. And in this series, he has had 2 hits and 9 times up. Jerry Kuzman into the windup, and the first pitch to the left-hand batter, grounded to the second baseman, Doug Flynn, and he moves in, takes the ball on the bounce, and throws to first base for the 2nd out of the inning. Now the batter will be Ken Griffey, who also grounded out to the second baseman his first time up. Griffey having a good series. He's had 6 hits and 10 times up, raising his average to .323. Dave Parker leads the National League in hitting with a .340 average. Cedeno leads in stolen bases with 43. And the first pitch, a called strike. Griffey with 10 home runs, 41 runs batted in. And the next pitch by Kuzman is low and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kuzman has had 6 complete games. He has a record of 8 and 14. And the 1-1 delivery. Over, a called strike, and it's 1-2. Last year, Jerry Kuzman won 21 and lost 10 with an earned run average of 2.70. He has allowed about a half a run a game more this year, and he has won 8 and lost 14. Has an ERA at 3.19 this year. And the next pitch, a curveball, swung on and missed, and Jerry Kuzman with a 1-2-3 inning, and that is his first strikeout. And the score at the end of 2.5 innings, the Cincinnati Reds 1, New York Mets nothing. Well, we don't mean to be the bearer of bad tidings, but the new school year is right around the corner. We bring up the subject in order to announce that the Mets have added a new giveaway day to their 1977 promotional schedule, and it's called Back to School Day. The date is Saturday afternoon, September 3rd, when the Mets meet the Atlanta Braves at 2:05 p.m. On that date, every student from kindergarten right through high school who buys a ticket and attends the game will receive a good-looking Mets clipboard, which will certainly come in handy for those returning to the classroom soon. The clipboard has a brown leatherette look with a gold-colored Met emblem on the front. It's very stylish as well as practical. Students certainly need something in which to keep their notes, papers, and pens, and we think the Mets clipboard that will be given to those from kindergarten through high school is just what the teacher ordered. That's a brand new addition to the Mets special events calendar. Back to school day at Shea Stadium on Saturday afternoon, September 3rd, when the Mets take on the Atlanta Braves at 2:05 p.m. Now to the bottom of the third. The Reds leading 1-0 on a run in the first. And for the Mets, Lee Mazzilli to lead off. Mazzilli has no hits and 8 times up in this series, and he carries an 0 for 15 to the plate. Batting 7th in the batting order and hitting at .233. And Koosman, pitching for the Mets, has given up 1 run on 3 hits. Tom Seaver working. He has retired his first 6 batters, and the first pitch, a fastball, swung on and missed. Seaver back with a curve. It's over at the knees, strike 2. Seaver has struck out 4 of his first 6 batters. And now the 2-strike pitch, fastball just high, and the count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Seaver has been working so far in this game with all 3 of his pitches working well, fastball, slider, and curve. 1-2 pitch, fastball popped up into shallow right field. Going back is Morgan to make the call. He's under it, and he makes the catch. 1 away, and the batter will be Doug Flynn. Flynn acquired in the Seaver trade, along with Pat Zachary, Steve Henderson, and Dan Norman, who is playing at Tidewater. Flynn in the series 1 for 10, hitting .234. And Seaver into the windup. Here's the pitch. Curveball, slice foul into the stands, strike 1. Seaver appears to be a little bit lighter than when he was with the Mets. Not much of a difference. It might be the uniform. 1 strike count as Seaver goes into the windup, and the next pitch, a fastball. It's powered right on through there, strike 2. Seaver started the game with 143 strikeouts. He now has 147. Koosman has 157 with 1 in the game today. Curveball chopped out towards shortstop, a 2-hopper for Concepcion. He moves in, makes the play on the rim of the infield grass, and this throw to first base in time for the out. That will bring up Jerry Koosman. And Koosman gets a very nice greeting as he comes to the plate. Before each season, Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman make a friendly bet as to whom will get the most base hits in the season. So far, Seaver's leading. The bet is still on. Seaver has 11, Koosman has 8. And the first pitch to Koosman, a hard fastball down around the knees, just outside. It's ball 1. Koosman has hit 1 home run. Seaver has none. And here's the pitch back. Fastball hit out to right center field. It's deep, going back to right fielder Griffey. He gets to it, and he makes a moving catch. And that retires a side. Hardest ball hit off Tom Seaver through the first 3 innings. So Seaver retiring his first 9, and the score at the end of 3. The Cincinnati Reds 1, the New York Mets nothing.
If all you need is money, come on into HFC. Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
Household Finance knows that how you spend your vacation really...
Household Finance office nearest you.
We're going now to the top of the 4th inning. Between innings, some very attractively dressed dancers on the top of each dugout doing a rock dance, and then at the end holding up several signs which read out to be "Let's Go Mets." Right now the Reds are leading by a score of 1-0 on a run driven in by George Foster, and George now to bat for the second time. Foster leads the major leagues in home runs with 41, runs batted in with 118, hitting .316. Pete Rose led off in the first inning with a double to right, moved to third on a ground out, and scored when Foster singled to left field. Only run of the game. And Kuzman starts off with a changeup. It's inside for a ball. One ball, no strikes. Foster out of the batter's box, now gets back in. Strong right-hand batter. Kuzman's next pitch, a fastball swung on and missed. It's 1-1. Pitched right around the letters on the inside part of the plate. Ron Hodges, the catcher for the Mets. And Kuzman reads his signs and goes into the windup. The 1-1 pitch. Breaking ball over and a ball. That pitch was close. 2 balls and 1 strike. Jim Quick, the umpire behind home plate. And Kuzman with the 2-1 delivery. And the fastball fouled back out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Foster in this series has had 6 hits and 12 times up, and 2 of them have been home runs. 2-2 pitch, curveball hit high in the air to center field. It's up there. And under the ball is Mazzilli waiting for it to come down, and it does, and he puts it in the basket. That'll bring up Johnny Bench, who walked in a 3-1 pitch his first time up. Kuzman has walked 2, struck out 1. And he has given up 1 run on 3 hits. Double by Rose, a single by Foster, and a single by Dan Dreesen. And the first pitch to Bench, a curveball, and Bench way out in front of it, missing it. That's strike 1. And the 1-strike pitch, a fastball lined at Lenny Randall, and he takes it out of the air with a one-hand catch. Hard shot by Johnny Bench, and Randall speared it out of the air. So 2 men away. And the batter coming up is Dave Concepcion. Concepcion popped up to the second baseman his first time up, hitting .268. And the first pitch, a called strike. And the 1-strike pitch, changeup, just low, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. In Jerry Kuzman's 14 wins, the Mets have, I should say, in his 14 losses, the Mets have scored but 20 runs. The 1-1 pitch, and it's inside. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Concepcion with 7 home runs, 41 RBIs, a right-hand batter. All-star shortstop, and Seaver gets a called strike at the knees. It's 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes. Seaver has given up no runs and no hits. Now Kuzman comes back with a curveball, and Concepcion misses, and Kuzman gets a 1-2-3 inning. That's 7 in a row, and that's his second strikeout of the ball game. And the score at the end of 3.5, it's the Cincinnati Reds 1, the New York Mets nothing.
Nowadays, you can't listen to radio, watch television, or read a newspaper without some auto manufacturer telling you what great gas mileage his car gets. They quote the EPA. They tell you how many miles per gallon they get in the city, and how many they get on the highway. Well, all these facts are great to know. But if there's anything you need as much as cars that make your gasoline go a little further, it's a gasoline that makes your dollar go a little further. At the Getty Oil Company, we have a gasoline that's perfect for newer cars. Getty Unleaded Regular, with the octane performance of regular and the clean running smoothness of unleaded. But most important, we sell Getty Unleaded Regular for less than most other major unleadeds. So now you can choose a car and a gasoline that give you more miles for your money. Getty Premium and Getty Unleaded Regular. We've got what's best for your car.
Bottom half of the 4th inning. Mets coming up, the Reds leading by a score of 1-0, and Lenny Randall, the bat for the second time. Mets have sent 9 men to the plate, and Seaver has got them all, and now Randall batting for the second time. He saw one pitch his first time up, a fastball, and flied out the left. Randall batting .303. He's had 3 hits and 10 times up in this series, an even .300. And Seaver's first pitch hit right back to the middle, and Seaver takes it on one hop. That's the closest thing to a base hit. Randall twice has hit the first pitch, and he's out. So, Bud Harrelson coming up. Harrelson was struck out on a 3-2 pitch his first time up, called out on strikes. He got all fastballs, and Seaver starts off with a fastball again, and it's on the outside corner above the knees, a strike. Pitch back is on the outside corner, the first curveball, and that's strike 2. Harrelson is 0 for 9 in this series, batting at .166. And Seaver's next pitch, a fastball swung on and missed, and he got him on 3. We pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
Hey, folks, get up with me, Gene Clavin, weekday mornings from 5:30 to 10. Only on 1130 WNEW in New York. Look, the morning is already ruined anyhow. You can't lose anything.
Ralph Kiner along with Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson from Shea Stadium. The Reds leading 1-0. 2 men away. We're in the bottom half of the 4th, and Steve Henderson the batter. Henderson was struck out his first time up. And Tom Seaver now with 5 strikeouts. He starts off with a high fastball, ball 1. Seaver threw Henderson a slider, a fastball, a curve, a fastball, and a slider to strike him out his first time up. Henderson batting at .311, and the next pitch, a hard slider low and outside, 2 balls and no strikes. Steve Henderson, the key figure in the Tom Seaver trade. And they will be compared right along now, as long as they are both in baseball. Henderson has hit 8 home runs, all here at Shea Stadium, and he has driven in 38. And the next pitch is hit back to the middle. It could be a base hit. It is a base hit to center field. And Seaver, after retiring the first 11 batters, has given up his first hit. Not hit hard. The ball that Randall had hit to lead off the inning was a smash that Seaver caught. This time he couldn't get his glove on the ball, and it trickled on through the infield. And Steve Henderson, the key figure in the trade for Tom Seaver, gets the first hit of the ball game. Seaver has never pitched a no-hit, no-run game. He has been close twice. One time he was down to 1 more strike on a game against the Cubs, and he lost it with a count at 2 strikes and no balls on a base hit by Joe Wallace to left field. Throw to first base, and Henderson back easily. Now time call. Tom Seaver once had a perfect game with 1 out in the 9th inning against the Cubs and lost that. And here's a pitch to the plate to Ed Kranepool. It's outside, a fastball for ball 1. Kranepool was struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Seaver's next pitch, a fastball, swung on and fouled back out of play. In tight fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. Bob Gibson went almost to the end of his career before he pitched a no-hitter, and that was against the Pittsburgh Pirates, the first no-hitter ever pitched in Pittsburgh. Throw to first base. After that, John Candelaria pitched one for the Pirates, and that was the first ever pitched by a Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher in Pittsburgh. Throw to first base. Henderson dives back in, and Dreesen falls over him as Henderson gets back safely. One ball, 1 strike count. And Seaver sets up. Here's the pitch. Slider, line back to the middle, a base hit. Henderson on his way to third, and he goes there as Foster throws it back into the infield. So Kranepool, after striking out on 3 pitches, hits a line shot back to the middle. It almost hit Seaver. He had to duck away. And the Mets now have A runner at third, a runner at first with 2 men out, and John Milner coming up. Milner fouled out to the second baseman, Joe Morgan, his first time up. Milner hitting .263, and the first pitch is a high pop-up in foul territory that the first baseman, Dan Dreesen, gets under, and his catch retires aside. No runs, 2 hits. The first 2 in the ball game for the Mets. They came with 2 men out in the fourth and 2 men left on base. And the score at the end of 4 as Bob Murphy comes in for the play-by-play. The Cincinnati Reds 1, the New York Mets nothing.
The answer is 2,858. What's the question? What's the sticker price on Toyota's answer? The Toyota Corolla 2-door sedan we call the answer. That's right, $2,858. That's based on manufacturer's suggested retail price, not including taxes, license, transportation charges, and optional equipment. Toyota's answer is economy without ever sacrificing quality. That's why Toyota dares to say, if you can find a better-built small car than Toyota, buy it. You asked for it, you got it. Toyota.
It's going to be a great summer. Not only because the Mets have come alive, but because right now you can save on everything you need for your home and family. In Channel's Summer Living Sale, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of super buys at Channel right now. So hurry. Hurry to your nearest Channel Home Center in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania and save like never before.
When it comes to making your home a better place to live, Channel is the best partner you can have.
In the 5th inning now at Shea Stadium, with the Reds leading 1-0. Dan Dreesen leads off against Jerry Koosman. Bottom third of the batting order, Dan Dreesen, Ed Armbruster, and then Tom Seaver. Jerry Koosman winding, and the pitch to Dreesen, a line drive to short, caught by Buddy Harrelson. Hit right to Buddy Harrelson. 1 down. 1 out and nobody on. Now left fielder Ed Armbruster. Armbruster reached on a walk in the 2nd inning. Ed Armbruster, the left fielder, batting at .258. Buddy Harrelson and Jerry Koosman get together to talk things out. Tom Seaver comes out in the on-deck circle. Cincinnati 1 run on 3 hits. New York no runs on 2 hits. And we're now in the top of the 5th inning. He had an idea about bunting. It cost him a strike call. Sparky Anderson has been playing Ed Armbruster in left field against left-handed pitching and moves George Foster to center field. Here's the pitch on the way. Foul ball back into the crowd. No play. Now Koosman with a 2-strike count. Jerry Koosman checking out his signs with Ron Hodges. The infield spread out straight away, high and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Breeze blowing toward left field. At a change-up high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Enough of a breeze blowing toward left field to be of help to the right-hand pull hitters. Pitching 2-2. Swing and a miss. He got him with a high hard one. Number 3 for Jerry Koosman. That puts Jerry Koosman in 2nd place in the National League in strikeouts, going 1 ahead of Steve Rogers. And the hand for Tom Seaver, batting for the 2nd time. Tom bounced into a double play in the 2nd inning. Fastball high, 1 ball and no strikes. Now the windup, in comes the pitch, and it misses the inside corner, ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes to Seaver. The 2-0 delivery, and a strike called at the knees, 2-1. Following this game, the Reds go home for a homestand. The Mets have the Astros here at Shea tomorrow night. And a well-hit drive to right center field. It'll be in for a base hit. The ball rolling back toward the wall in right center. Mazzilli up with it, playing it back in, and Seaver has doubled to right center. Tom Seaver with a well-hit double to deep right center field. Well, Jerry Koosman, his first time up, hit a long drive to right that was caught by Griffey. And now Seaver comes back and doubles to deep right center, and it brings to the plate leadoff batter Pete Rose. Rose doubled into the right field corner in the first inning and came home to score the game's only run on a single to left by George Foster. Pete Rose hitting .299. Pete has hit for a higher average against left-handers than he has against right-handers this year. So Seaver on second and 2 down. The pitch to Rose, foul ball back into the crowd down the right field line. Top of the 5th inning, and the Reds lead 1-0. Big jet airliner roaring overhead. Now Koosman comes to the 1-second stop. Here's the pitch. Foul ball again out of play off to the right. Rose has doubled and scored a run, and he bounced out second to first. The Reds have 1 run on 4 hits. New York no runs on 2 hits. And the game is coming off as advertised. 2 of the top pitching talents in all of baseball. Seaver a lead from second. The pitch to Rose. And a ground ball that goes through the middle into center field, a base hit. Seaver around third is coming home. The throw will not be nearly in time. Cut off by Flynn. Rose is in a rundown play. And now the ball goes to Milner. Milner running him towards second base, and he tags him out. Milner tags out Pete Rose. Mazzilli's throw coming toward the plate hit the cutoff man, Doug Flynn. And Flynn then turned around, and he had Rose in a rundown. But the Reds get a run on a base hit by Pete Rose, scoring Tom Seaver. And Rose is out from Mazzilli to Doug Flynn to John Milner. 1 run on 2 hits, nobody left. At the end of 4.5 innings, the Reds 2 and the Mets nothing.
If all you need is money, come on into HFC. Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
If you're thinking about a nice, faraway vacation, but money's keeping you close to home, come on into Household Finance. With an HFC travel loan, you could get away from it all, far away from it all.
Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
HFC, an equal opportunity lender.
So come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
Household Finance, where people use our money to get the most out of life.
Come on in to HFC.
At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500 and choose from a wide variety of repayment loans. For a large or small loan, call HFC in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
The last of the 5th inning at Shea Stadium. The Reds now have established a 2-0 lead. The runs have been driven in by George Foster and by Pete Rose. Rose single right through the box. To score, Tom Seaver. Seaver had doubled. Now Seaver getting a hand once again as he walks toward the mound for the bottom half of the 5th inning. Steve Henderson got the first hit off Tom Seaver with 2 outs in the last inning. Ed Kranepool singled to center, putting runners on first and third, but John Milner fouled out. The Atlanta Braves and the Montreal Expos are tied 4-4 in the 3rd inning in Montreal. The Pirates lead the Giants 2-1 in Pittsburgh. John Montefusco and Bruce Keeson are the pitchers. And the Dodgers, with pitcher Rick Rhoden hitting a home run, lead the Chicago Cubs 3-0 in the 3rd. Dave Kingman hit a grand slam home run in the 1st inning in St. Louis. The Padres leading St. Louis 5-0 after 2. Bob Ochinko and Tom Underwood. Phillies have a rare Sunday night game at home against the Astros. The Yankees also have a Sunday night game down in Texas. Milwaukee 1 and Chicago 0 at the end of 3 in the first game of a doubleheader. Ken Kravac and Moose Haas. Minnesota got 3 in the 2nd to go ahead of Baltimore 3-2 at the end of 2 innings. Rudy May and Jeff Zahn. Kansas City 1, the Boston Red Sox 0 after 2 innings. Don Ossie and Paul Splitart. Other games not yet underway. Cleveland at Oakland, Toronto at California, and Detroit at Seattle. Ron Hodges leading off against Tom Seaver. Seaver 13-5, trying for his 14th win and his 13th complete ball game. And the pitch on the way, foul ball wafted back into the crowd. Seaver has completed 50% of his starts this year with 12 complete games in 24 starts. Now Seaver over the head, and the pitch to Ronnie Hodges. A fly ball hit to left field. Moving over on the ball, Ed Armbruster, and he grabs it not too far from the line. So Hodges retired. He flies to left. It brings up Lee Mazzilli. Tom Seaver has authored 4 shutouts this year and has 43 in his career. The Dodgers' Don Sutton, the league leader among the active pitchers with 46 shutouts. Don Sutton has now become the winningest Los Angeles Dodger pitcher. Or rather, he tied Drysdale with his last win. Now a fastball taken high, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes to Lee Mazzilli. Lee hitting at .233, but right now Lee is 0 for 16. Batting left against Tom Seaver, and a foul ball back into the crowd. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mazzilli had his bat going on the road trip, but it has gone quiet so far on the homestand. Pitching 1-1. On the outside corner, a strike, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tom Seaver has not walked a batter. He has struck out 5. Now the 1-2 delivery. Swing and a foul ball back against the screen. Doug Flynn is on deck, and then Jerry Koosman. 1 out and nobody on in the home 5th inning. Seaver wearing his usual number 41. Now the 1-2 delivery off the outside corner. It's 2-2. Tom has been very relaxed and in very high spirits throughout this weekend visit to New York. Pitching 2-2. And a swing and a foul ball. Just got a piece of it. Fought off a hard slider on the inside corner. So the count holds at 2 balls, 2 strikes to Lee Mazzilli. Seaver retired the first 11 batters he faced. Then Henderson singled through the box. And Cranepool singled to center field. That was in the last inning. Pitching 2-2 to Lee Mazzilli. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And that is number 6 for Tom Seaver. 2 outs and nobody on. Doug Flynn hitting for the 2nd time. Flynn bounced out to the shortstop, Dave Concepcion. The Reds have 2 runs on 5 hits. New York no runs on 2 hits. Jerry Koosman has the tougher job. The Reds have a .274 team batting average and a breaking ball high, whereas the Mets have a team batting average of .243. And the 1-0 delivery to Doug Flynn. Fastball low. Ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. Hardest ball hit off Tom Seaver so far was hit by Jerry Koosman. Ball that was caught in deep right by Ken Griffey. The 2-0 delivery by Seaver and a fastball low, ball 3, 3-0. Seaver was behind once before 3-0 and came back to get the hitter. Now the 3-0 delivery. Inside, ball 4. Flynn is on with a walk. There's the first walk given by Seaver, and it brings up Jerry Koosman. Doug Flynn is on with a walk. There are 2 men away. And the pitch to Koosman. Fastball powdered right down the middle. Strike 1 call. Lenny Randall tightening up the batting gloves in case he gets a chance to hit in this inning. Koosman on the year has 8 base hits. Seaver delivers, and a foul ball back on the screen. Tom Seaver, when he doubled, collected his 12th base hit of the year. Now Seaver getting down off the back of the mound to work up a new baseball. He has a 2-strike advantage, pitching to Jerry Koosman. Doug Flynn on first, the 2-strike pitch. And a swing and a miss, he struck him out. Got him with a hard slider. And in 5 innings, Tom Seaver now has struck out 7. No runs, no hits, and 1 left. At the end of 5 at Shea, the Cincinnati Reds 2, and the New York Mets nothing.
Taste Schaefer beer, consistently great Schaefer. From first beer to your last, it goes straight to your thirst. Beer after beer, the same great tasting Schaefer. Your last one always tastes as good as your first.
Schaefer consistency starts with country pure water, heading for the Schaefer Brewery in Lehigh Valley. There's Schaefer's Kreuzen Brewed, that's brewing twice. For over 130 years, it's given Schaefer a smooth, crisp, consistently great taste. Schaefer consistency. Put it to the test. You'll find your last one tastes as good as your first.
Beer after beer, the same great tasting Schaefer. Your last one always tastes as good as your first.
Schaefer Brewing Company, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania.
In the 6th inning, the Reds will have Joe Morgan, Ken Griffey, and George Foster batting against Jerry Koosman. 5 inning totals: Cincinnati 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors, and New York no runs, 2 hits, and no errors. Jerry Koosman has walked 1. He walked Johnny Bench in the 1st inning, and Jerry has struck out 3. Jerry Koosman now has 159 strikeouts for the year, well on his way to 200. And Joe Morgan runs up as though to bunt, and the pitch a call strike on the outside corner. And Morgan did not like the call by umpire Jim Quick. Lenny Randall playing even with the bag and wide of the line. Buddy Harrelson shaded towards second. Doug Flynn on the edge of the outfield grass. In comes the pitch, and a check swing and a fastball inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Joe Morgan. Morgan, hitting .299, has bounced to short and bounced to second. And a swing and a miss at a curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Today's baseball quiz. The Reds have had 5 National League Rookie of the Year winners since the award was first originated in 1947. How many of the 5 can you name? Pitching 1 and 2. Swing and a miss. He got him. Koosman gets strikeout number 4 as he strikes out Joe Morgan. 1 out and nobody on. Ken Griffey coming up. Right fielder Griffey has bounced to second and been struck out, nothing for 2. Ken Griffey hitting .323. Just missed the batting title last year, nosed out on the final day by Bill Matlock. Fastball on the outside corner, a call strike. What a beautiful day and a tremendous turnout at Shea this afternoon. Now the pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Jerry Koosman and Tom Seaver, who were teammates and best friends for 9.5 years, opposing each other here at Shea today. The comments from both will be most interesting after the ball game. Now the 2-strike delivery. Slow ground ball foul. It'll be handled by Nixon on the coaching lines at first base. One out and nobody on with the Reds on the attack in the top of the 6th inning. Ken Griffey straddles the plate, hits out of a slight crouch. Changeup just missed the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Dodgers are at Wrigley Field, leading the Cubs by a score of 3-0 in the 4th inning. They lead the Reds by 9.5 games in the West. Now a swing and a miss. He got him on a curveball. Number 5 for Jerry Koosman. Well, Seaver has struck out 7, and Koosman now has 5. The batter is George Foster, who singled home a run in the first inning and flied to center field in the 4th inning. Foster hitting .315 with 41 home runs and 118 runs batted in. Johnny Bench is on deck working with a pine tar cloth. And now Foster asks for time and steps back for a moment. George is very deliberate in the batter's box. The infield spread out. Here's the pitch on the way. And a fly ball to deep right field. Cutting over toward the line is Kranepool. And he has it. Fly ball hit over near the right field line and taken by Kranepool. No runs, no hits, none left. They went in order. In the middle of the 6th inning, the Reds 2 and the Mets nothing.
Did you ever wonder what protein does for you? Who needs it? Why, everybody does. It builds, repairs, and maintains body tissue. So it's quite important in the diets for growing children and adults alike. Dairy Lee cottage cheese is one of the finest sources of high-protein foods that you can find in your favorite store. It's a good mixer that can be served in a variety of tempting ways because it combines nicely with any type of food. A fresh companion for fruits and vegetables, almost a meal in itself. And it tastes good. So if you shop for value and nutrition both, plus a versatile food that can be used in many ways, shop for Dairy Lee cottage cheese. And you want to make sure it's fresh, so make absolutely sure it's Dairy Lee. Famous over 50 years for fresh dairy products.
In the last of the 6th inning, Lenny Randall to lead off for New York. It is the top of the batting order, Len Randall, Buddy Harrelson, and Steve Henderson. The Mets are trailing 2-0. Reds have been playing very well of late. They have won 6 of their last 7 ball games. And they've been chopping some of the Dodger lead down. In the National League East, the Phillies are just unbeatable of late, winning 16 of their last 17 ball games. Pirates and Cardinals have both been winning and not gaining an inch.
Batting for the Mets, the third baseman, Lenny Randall.
Now Lenny Randall standing in against Tom Seaver. Tom has walked 1, struck out 7, allowed no runs, given up just 2 hits. Here's the windup by Seaver, the pitch to Randall. Curve to start him off, and it's over, a call strike. Lenny Randall has flied to left and bounced back to the mound. Lenny hitting .302. Now the pitch on the way, and a fastball just missed the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Buddy Harrelson will be next. In close at third is Pete Rose of the Reds. And a swing and a foul tip. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now Seaver getting back up on the mound. The infield spread out against Lenny Randall, but the left fielder, Ed Armbruster, plays over toward the left field line. And a swing and a miss. He struck him out with a high hard one. That is number 8 for Tom Seaver. Tom has been in double figures only 1 time this year, and that was against Cincinnati. While still with the Mets, he shut out the Reds with a tremendous performance and struck out 10. Buddy Harrelson has been fanned twice. Buddy batting left against Seaver. And the pitch on the way, swing and a miss, strike 1. He threw smoke right down the middle. Seaver wasting no time between deliveries. He's in a good groove. Now the pitch, foul ball behind third, back into the crowd. A 2-strike count on Darrell McKinley Harrelson. One out and nobody on. New York trailing by 2. We're in the home 6th inning. Breeze blowing from right across toward left. Now Seaver is sighting in. Here's the pitch. Way outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mets have been unable to pull the ball against Tom Seaver so far. Their base hits have been through the middle. Now the 1-2 delivery. Breaking ball wide. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I thought Buddy might try to bunt against Seaver, but he has not. And a line drive out over second base into center field, a base hit. Buddy Harrelson has singled to center, and that is the 3rd hit of the game for New York. So Buddy gets a base hit off of his longtime road roommate. Buddy hit a soft liner just over Seaver's head out into center field. Steve Henderson got the first hit off Seaver. It came in the 4th inning with 2 down. Seaver retired the first 11 batters. Now Henderson is the hitter with Cranepool on deck. Dreesen holding against the runner. And a half swing and a fastball over a strike call. Henderson asking the umpire whether or not he hadn't stopped the swing on time. And I think the umpire merely said it makes no difference. It was a strike. One strike count to Steve Henderson. Now Seaver working from the stretch. And the pitch on the way. Swing and a foul ball back against the screen. And a 2-strike count. Steve Henderson resetting himself in the batter's box. Seaver with a 2-strike advantage. Buddy Harrelson on first and 1 down. Here's the pitch. And a ground ball hit through the hole slowly into right field for a base hit. Around second is Buddy Harrelson. He'll go on to third. And now there are runners at first and third. Henderson is so strong. That fastball was by him, but he managed somehow to get the bat to it. And he hit a slow roller through the hole into right field. Ball wasn't hit hard at all, but perfectly placed. It rolls into right field, and now there are runners on first and third. And Ed Cranepool, the batter. And Henderson, certainly passing the test here today, now has 2 for 3. Let's have a chance to get on the scoreboard. Eddie Cranepool, single to center his last time up, 1 for 2. Here's the pitch. And a well-hit fly ball to deep right. It might go foul right down the line. And a foul ball. That would have been a 3-run homer had it been straightened out. It hit well up into the stands, but it was foul by probably about 8 or 10 yards. Cranepool was really ready, and he jumped hard on the first pitch. It came very close to being a 3-run homer. And you can hear the crowd yelling, Eddie, Eddie. Seaver is in the stretch. Here's the pitch on the way. Off the outside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. John Milner is on deck. The Reds lead by a score of 2-0. For the second time, the Mets have runners on first and third. They did it in the 4th inning. At that time, there were 2 men away. Now they're operating with 1 man down. Now Seaver comes to the stop position, and he steps off. Bud Harrelson on third, and Steve Henderson on first. The pitch to Cranepool. Foul ball straight back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. John Milner kneeling in the on-deck circle. Cranepool really had a rip at that first delivery. He hit it well back up into the stands, certainly far enough for a home run, but it was foul. And when it first left the bat, it looked like it might stay fair. Now Seaver once again comes to the 1-second stop. Here's the pitch. And a line drive in the air to left field. Tagging up is Harrelson. Back goes Armbruster to make the catch. Buddy Harrelson tags up and comes home to score. And it is a 2-1 ball game. An RBI for Ed Cranepool, and he hit the ball hard. The left fielder Armbruster went back to the warning track to grab it. And now the Reds have a 2-1 lead. So Cranepool hitting the ball hard against Tom Seaver. An RBI for Ed Cranepool. That brings to the plate John Milner. Steve Henderson on first. Draws a throw, goes back to the bag. Now the pitch to Milner, way outside. That might have been a pitch out. Although Bench did not step out, he had to lunge out to grab it. The Reds 2 runs on 5 hits. New York 1 run on 4 hits. We're in the last of the 6th inning. Exciting game going on a very exciting afternoon in New York sports. Reds are playing Milner very deep and around to right. Now throw to first. Henderson just back. Concepcion is playing almost behind second base against Milner, a pull hitter. Now time taken by Milner, and John wants the pine tar cloth. After Seaver threw over a couple of times, Milner said, all right, it's my turn. The outfield is deep and around to right against John Milner. Twice Milner has popped the ball up in foul territory to Dan Dreesen. Throw to first. Hit first slide by Henderson coming back. So Seaver apparently feels that Henderson will try to steal the base, or the Mets may be playing hit and run. The Mets have scored a run, and it was Buddy Harrelson who started the rally with a single to center. Then came a base hit by Steve Henderson, his second of the ball game. And a sacrifice fly hit deep to left by Eddie Cranepool. And again, Seaver throws over. So again, Milner will take a stroll. Go back and get this time the rosin bag. The Reds 2 and the Mets 1 were in the last of the 6th inning. Now Seaver in the stretch position. Here's the pitch on the way, and a foul ball behind third, out of play. This will settle back into the crowd. And the count is 1-1 on John Milner. The Reds 2 runs, 5 hits. The Mets 1 run and 4 hits. Henderson, the tying run on first base, 2 men away. Throw to first, not in time. Henderson has real good speed, but has done very little base stealing while feeling his way along, getting into the National League. Now the pitch. And a high pop fly down the left field line. Everybody running for it. Armbruster, the left fielder, has it for the out. He crossed the line, and he caught it in foul territory. The left fielder, Armbruster, making the catch. 1 run on 2 hits and 1 left. Lindsey Nelson will join you for the play-by-play in just a moment. At the end of 6 innings, the Reds 2 and the Mets 1.
What's the big idea? The big idea is the Astoria idea. An idea designed to come through with many happy returns for you.
Easy Chair money. Another big idea from Astoria Federal. Sit back and relax while your money's earning you a big 5.47% a year on your 5.25% passbook savings account. And your money's yours when you want it with no loss of interest. Astoria has other big ideas and high-yield savings certificates, and every Astoria account earns the highest rates the law allows. Yes, big ideas come naturally from the nice people with over $1 billion behind them.
An idea designed to come through with many happy returns for you. The Astoria idea.
Jerry Kuzma will be facing the Cincinnati Reds now. As they come up here in the top of the 7th inning, it's Johnny Bench to lead it off. He has walked and lined out to third. He had a shot last time up into the glove of Lenny Randall at third base. Jerry Kuzma has struck out 5. He's walked 2. Into the motion, and the pitch to the right-hand batter. It is in there for a called strike. Reds got a run in the 1st inning. They had another in the 5th. The Mets got one just now in the 6th. Kuzma delivers. Slow curveball hit on the ground to third. Randall has it. He goes to first in time to get Johnny Bench. So there's one away, and that'll bring up shortstop Dave Concepcion, who has popped to second and struck out. He is 0 for 2. Coming into the game today, In the strikeout derby in the National League, Koosman was third, Seaver was fifth. Koosman had 13 strikeouts more than did Tom Seaver. This game so far, Seaver has struck out 8, Koosman has struck out 5. There's a pitch in for a called strike to Concepcion. Outfield defense is set up straight away. Now again, Koosman into the motion. Kicks and fires a fastball in for a called strike at the knees. It's 0-2. Concepcion turns, walks a step or two away, taps his spikes. Dan Dreesen's waiting there on deck. Koosman staying on the rubber, looking in to pick up his sign from Ron Hodges. Into the motion and the pitch. Check swing foul ball to the right side and out of play. So the count continues at 0-2 to Dave Concepcion. Here's the 0-2. Swung on and hit in the air. Down the right field line, a long run for Cranepool in foul territory, and he gets there and makes the catch. As he had to fight a fan for it, Cranepool made the catch with the fan reaching out over the railing. Cranepool's glove dragged it in for the putout in foul territory. 2 away. Dan Dreesen's coming up. Had a base hit and lined out. He's 1 for 2. Reds got there running the first inning when Pete Rose opened up with a double to right. Moved over to third on an infield out. And George Foster singled to drive in the first run. Here's a pitch to the left-hand batter, and it breaks inside for a ball. It's 1-0. 2 men out, nobody on base. The Reds 2 and the Mets 1. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Swung on and fouled off. It's 1-1. Randall is at the edge of the grass at third against the speed of Dan Dreesen. He has lots of it. Here's the 1-1. Breaking in for a called strike. He pulled, and the pitch was in there, so it is 1-2. Dreesen bailing a little bit on the sweeping pitch. Here's a 1-2 delivery. Swung on and missed. He bailed even more that time on a breaking pitch, and it's strikeout number 6 for Koosman as he gets the side in order. Nothing across, and in the middle of the 7th inning, the score is the Reds 2 and the Mets 1. Hey, why don't you bring your kids to see our kids? That's the idea behind 4 very special events coming up at Shea Stadium in the near future. Here are the exciting details. There'll be 3 family specials at Shea. They'll be held on Friday, September 2nd, Saturday, September 17th, and Saturday, September 24th. On these dates, an adult purchasing a box or reserve seat at full price can treat a youngster, 15 years of age and under, to the game compliments of the Mets. It's really a great deal. In addition, on each of the dates, 2 youngsters will be chosen as honorary bat boys or bat girls. They'll receive their own uniform, shoes, glove, and they'll be invited back to serve as future honorary bat boys or bat girls. And we haven't forgotten couples. Tuesday afternoon, August 23rd, when the Mets meet the Astros, will be I Love My Wife Day at Shea. Any spouse paying full price for a box or reserve seat can treat his or her mate to the game for just a 50-cent service charge. The cast of the Broadway hit will be there to sing the national anthem and enjoy the game with you. Here's a golden opportunity for your family to see some exciting baseball. So remember the dates. Family specials on September 2nd, 17th, 24th. I Love My Wife Day on August 23rd. Bring your kids to see our kids. The Met fans are up and stretching all around the ballpark. Ron Hodges is up to lead it off for the Mets now as they face Tom Seaver in the bottom of the 7th. Hodges has struck out and flied to left 0 for 2. Mets are looking for 1 run to tie and 2 to go ahead. Seaver has struck out 8 and he's walked only 1. Skip Lockwood is up and throwing in the Met bullpen now as the Mets get down to the bottom end of their order. Swing and a miss. It's strike 1. 0-1 to Ron Hodges, followed by Lee Mazzilli in the Met batting order. Seaver in his first appearance ever against the New York Mets. He has a curveball hit on the ground up toward first base. Dan Dreesen gets a hop, goes unassisted in time, and Hodges is out. Hodges has gone 0 for 3 so far. Lee Mazzilli's coming up. Popped to second, struck out swinging. He's gone 0 for 2. He's a switch hitter batting left. At about 11:20 this morning, 11:30 this morning, when the Mets extra men were batting, Tom Seaver was out around the cage doing a little visiting, wearing a sweatsuit with no name, no number. Here is a pitch to Mazzilli, and it is taken low for a ball. Started to swing and laid off. Then when Seaver came out to take batting practice about an hour later, along about 12:20, he got a big ovation from the early arrivals here. Here's a 1-0 pitch. High for a ball. When he took the mound here at Shea this afternoon, he got an ovation that lasted a couple of minutes. Here's a 2-0 delivery. Swung on and foul back. Count of 2-1. Mazzilli is coming back in. Now Doug Flynn is out there on deck. Seaver wearing the number 41, same number he wore with the Mets. Here's the 2-1. Bunted, and it is past Seaver, and Mazzilli is on with a drag base hit. A perfect drag bunt. And the idea is to get it by the pitcher, and that is just what he did, as Seaver had to chase it onto the infield grass and had no play. Mazzilli is on, and he had gone 0 for 17. So he has broken out of the slump with a drag bunt. Now the tying run is on at first with one man out, and Doug Flynn is coming up. Koosman has moved out on deck. Flynn, formerly of the Cincinnati Reds, came to the Mets in the Tom Seaver deal, has grounded out and walked so far. He's a right-hand batter. Seaver sets now, checks back over his shoulder. Throws to first. Sparky Anderson's doing a little pacing now in the dugout of the Cincinnati Reds. Flynn is back in. Seaver sets. Curveball is hit in the air to short left. It'll be a long run for Armbruster. Concepcion going out to shortstop makes the catch. Concepcion, the shortstop, got to it in short left field. Holding at first is Mazzilli, 2 away. And Koosman will bat for himself. Joe Torre elects to let Koosman bat for himself, so Lockwood stops throwing in the bullpen. Koosman has flied to right, a long fly ball his first time up, and struck out. Seaver batting against Koosman hit into a double play the first time up and doubled and later scored the second time up, scored the run that has proven to be the difference right now with the Reds leading 2-1. Johnny Bench talking things over with Seaver. They have an idea that Mazzilli might be going, and he might. 2 men out, tying run at first. Koosman in and waiting now. Right-hand batter. Throw to first is not in time. Seaver sets up again. Checks back over his shoulder. Delivers the pitch. Swung on and foul back. Out of play. Paid attendance here this afternoon is 46,265. Total attendance in the ballpark, 47,714. For the shootout at Shea between Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman. Seaver sets up now. This will be a strike one delivery on the way. Curveball, missed the corner. Throw to first, not in time. Mazzilli dives back in on the cloud of dust. Mets' total home plate attendance for the year has reached 962,087. 962,087 as they approach the 1 million mark in home plate attendance. Here's a 1-1 with the runner going low. Bench's throw, and at second, he's out. Concepcion put a tag on a sliding Lee Mazzilli. 2-6 if you're scoring, and the side is retired, and Koosman will lead off the next inning. Either Koosman or a pinch hitter. No runs. 1 hit, no errors, and none left. And at the end of 7, the score is the Reds 2 and the Mets 1.
If all you need is money, come on into HFC. Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
Household Finance knows that how you spend your vacation really depends on how much you have to spend. Whether you need new camping gear or tickets for your dream vacation, come on into HFC for your vacation money.
Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
HFC, an equal opportunity lender.
So come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
Household Household Finance. People use our money to get the most out of life.
Come on into HFC.
At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500 and choose from a wide variety of repayment loans. For a large or small loan, call HFC in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
Jerry Koosman at the plate at the end of the inning has just started his warm-up pitches before facing Cincinnati in the 8th inning. The Reds are leading 2-1. A rare nighttime game in Philadelphia tonight, the Astros and the Phillies. This afternoon in Montreal, it's the top of the 5th inning, and the Expos are leading Atlanta by a score of 6-4. Dick Ruthven against Stan Bonson. Stanhouse in the 4th. Jeff Burrows hit his 32nd home in the 1st with 2 on. In the 7th inning, it's San Francisco 3, Pittsburgh 3. Montefusco relieved by Gary Lavelle in the 6th. Keeson relieved by Rich Gossage in the 6th. Gary Thompson hit his 14th in the 6th. Ambrust at the plate. Koosman's pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. In the bottom of the 5th inning, the Dodgers are leading the Cubs 3-1. Rick Rhoden against Dennis Lamp, and Rhoden hit his 3rd home in the 2nd inning for the Dodgers. There's a pitch in for a called strike. Bottom of the 5th inning, San Diego 6 and the Cardinals nothing. Babachenko against Tom Underwood. Raleigh Eastwick in the 5th. Dave Kingman hit his 19th homer, a grand slammer in the 1st inning for San Diego. Curveball is fouled off. Lou Brock stole his 888th base in that ball game. He is approaching the record of Ty Cobb, 892. Needs 4 to tie and 5 to set a new record. 2-strike count to Ed Armbruster. Here's a swing and a miss. Struck him out, and that is strikeout number 7 for Koosman. That'll bring up Tom Seaver. Seaver has struck out 8. Koosman has struck out 7. Seaver hit into a double play and doubled and later scored. The American League, the Yankees are at Texas tonight. First game of a doubleheader in Milwaukee. In the 5th inning, Milwaukee leads the White Sox 7-0. Ken Krivik relieved by Jack Cusick against Moose Haas. That breaking pitch is low for a ball to Seaver. Jim Wolford hit his 2nd homer, and McMullen hit his 4th. Seaver with the bat cocked now. Here's Koosman's delivery, and it's swung on and foul back. It's 1-1. In the 5th inning, Minnesota 4, Baltimore 3. Rudy May 13-11 against Jeff Zahn 11-10. Elliot Maddox hit his 2nd homer in the 1st inning. Koosman rocks into the motion. The 1-1 pitch to Seaver. Right in there. Fastball, called strike, 1-2. In the 5th inning, Kansas City 2, Boston Red Sox nothing. Don Ossie against Paul Splittorff. Cleveland at Oakland later. Toronto at California later. Detroit at Seattle later. Here's a breaking pitch high and away. Right here, the Reds are leading the Mets 2-1. Seaver's batting. 1 man out, nobody on base in the top of the 8th inning, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes. Koosman again rocks into the motion. Kicks and fires. Swing and a foul ball. He's still alive with a 2-2 count. Tomorrow night, the Houston Astros will be here. They'll be here again on Tuesday afternoon. We'll bring you radio coverage tomorrow night at 8. And the pitch. Swung on, hit on the ground to short. Taken by Harrelson. Bobo picked up and thrown on low, and it's safe at first base. Bobo by the shortstop, Bobo by the first baseman, and Seaver is on. An error charged against Harrelson on the throw. E6 is the scoring. So Seaver becomes a base runner with 1 man out, and Pete Rose is coming up. He's had 2 hits, one of them to drive in a run. He scored the other. So Rose is 2 for 3. Jerry Koosman sets up. Low for a ball. When Harrelson bobbled the ball momentarily, then he hurried his throw, and it was in the dirt well in front of Milner. Not a short hop play at all. The tough half hop. Koosman steps off. Had Harrelson realized that he had time because Seaver was not going all out down the line. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on, hammered on the ground, third base side. Randall over to Flynn for 1. He drops the ball, and Seaver's safe. All hands are safe. Runners at first and second. Looked like a sure double play ball. An error charged against Flynn. An error is charged against Flynn for allowing Seaver to arrive safely there. Simply a time at bat charge to Rose, of course, as it would have been a force out had the play been completed without the error. Runners at first and second. One man out, and Joe Morgan is up. Morgan grounded out, and struck out. Mets with an attack of Butterfingers here in the top of the 8th inning. And that breaking pitch is in there for a called strike. It's 0-1. Reds are leading 2-1. They have 2 men on with 1 man out in the 8th. Kuzman's delivery. Fastball in for a called strike 2. It's 0-2 to Joe Morgan. He's followed in the order by Ken Griffey. Seaver, wearing the bright red jacket, takes his lead. Now the 0-2. Swung on, hit on the ground. Base hit through into right field. Seaver's around third. He's coming home. Kranepool's throw comes in, and at the plate, Seaver scores in a cloud of dust. Runners move up. Rose to third, and on the throw, Morgan goes to second. It is a single and a run batted in for Morgan. He went to second on the throw, and the Reds are leading by a score of 3-1. That will bring up Ken Griffey. Grounded out, struck out, struck out. Joe Morgan hitting the ball on the ground in the hole between first and second, on through into right field. Seaver scored. In a cloud of dust, he slid into the plate. Matter of fact, he came sliding in a cloud of dust in the 5th inning when he scored, and there was no play at the plate on that occasion. There was this time. Not close by any manner or means. With still only 1 man out and runners at second and third, the Mets bring the infield in. Kuzman works against Ken Griffey. And the pitch. Low for a ball. It's 1-0. Cincinnati 3 runs, 6 hits. The Mets 1 run, 5 hits. Seaver struck out 8. Kuzman struck out 7. Here's the 1-0. Curveball is in there for a called strike. Sidearm delivery. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Pete Rose is the runner at third, and Joe Morgan is the runner at second. Kuzman sets. This will be a 1-1 pitch. Curveball rocked him back. High and tight, so it's 2-1. 2 balls and a strike. Kuzman sets up, infield in, and the pitch. A little low. 3-1. He's a pitch away from loading him up for George Foster. Who is not exactly the man you want up there with men on base. He leads the league in runs batted in. This will be a 3-1 pitch to Griffey. There's still only 1 man out. Kuzman still staring in, and Griffey, tired of waiting, backs out. Now he comes back. 3-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. It's 3-2. Cincinnati runners lead at second and third. And here is the payoff pitch. Swung on, line and to center. It'll score 2 runs. Base hit. Rose comes on to score. Morgan jogs across the plate. Griffey is holding at first with a single to center and 2 runs batted in. The score is the Reds 5 and the Mets 1. Here comes Joe Torre out to the mound now. He's had Lockwood throwing down there in the bullpen. So as Joe Torre goes to the mound, we'll wait to see what his decision is. He arrives there now, says something to Kuzman, hands on hips. And the sign goes to the bullpen. That's all for Kuzman. I think he'll get an ovation from these Met fans, and he should. He's heading to the dugout. And here it is, a standing ovation for Jerry Koosman. A standing ovation for Koosman all around the ballpark as he goes out of the ball game, having been done in by some inept ball handling on the infield in this inning. Skip Lockwood is coming in to do the pitching. Lockwood making his 45th appearance. He has won 2 and lost 6. Last time out of this series, he went 2 1/3, allowed no runs and 2 hits. Skip Lockwood is getting the ride into the electric cart. So as he comes in to do the pitching, we'll step out for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
Face the music with me, world. William B. Weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. only on WNEW in New York. We put a lot of life in your world.
This is Lindsey Nelson with Ralph Kiner and Bob Murphy at Shea Stadium, where the Cincinnati Reds are leading the Mets by a score of 5-1. The Mets have just made a pitching change, bringing in Skip Lockwood in relief of Jerry Koosman. Koosman went 7 1/3. He allowed 5 runs, 7 hits. He struck out 7, and he walked 2. Lockwood will be coming in to face George Foster. Montreal Expos are leading Atlanta by a score of 6-4 now in the 5th inning. Giants and the Pirates are still in a 3-3 tie in the 7th. Dodgers are leading the Cubs 3-1 in the 5th. San Diego's leading St. Louis 6-0 in the 5th. And the Milwaukee Brewers are leading the Chicago White Sox 7-0 in the 7th inning of the first game. In the bottom of the 5th, it's Baltimore 5 and Minnesota 4. Andres Mora hit his 11th home in the 5th with 1 man on. In the 5th inning, Kansas City 2, Boston Red Sox 0. Don Ossie against Paul Splittorff. This is the final game between the Mets and the Reds in New York this year. And the Mets start up their next road trip next Wednesday. They go to Cincinnati to play 2 games. Here comes George Foster up to lead it off. Foster singled a drive in the first run in the first inning. He's 1 for 3. At first base now, Ken Griffey takes his lead, having delivered a big hit, a clean line drive single to center that brought in 2 runs. Lockwood steps off. Foster stepped out, and now he's coming back in. Griffey's taking his lead. Pitch is swung on and hit way back in the left field corner. A foul ball. Up into the blue seats and the next to the top deck. Foster, who leads the majors in home runs with 41 and runs batted in with 117, really drilled that one. But a foul ball. Bob Apodakas throwing in the mid bullpen. 1 man out with a runner at first. Cincinnati 5 and the Mets 1. Again, Lockwood is waiting for Foster. Foster is a man who kills a lot of time at the plate. So Lockwood turns and walks down to the infield grass. Comes back up. Now the 0-1 pitch, curveball, and it's high. So it's 1-1. Griffey takes his lead at first base. Swung on and missed. It's 1-2. Foster again is stepped back out. Steps out after every pitch. Here's a 1-2. Swung on and fouled off. He stays alive. Right down into the dirt. Von Hodges examining a fingernail. Apparently it's all right. 1-2 the count. This is the final game of a 4-game series between the Mets and the Reds. The Reds took the first 3, and they're leading in this one 5-1. Foster stepped out again, so Lockwood walks down to the infield grass. Lockwood saying something to second base umpire Dick Stello. Doubtless about the stalling tactics of George Foster. Lockwood now sets. Foster has the bat cocked. 1-2 pitch. And tight. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Johnny Bench is waiting on deck. And here's the 2-2. Curveball hit in the air to short left. Henderson's moving up. Mazzilli's moving across. Henderson calls. Mazzilli makes the catch. Throw across to first base, and he is out at first base. Griffey did not get back. Mazzilli whipped it all the way to first to Milner, and Griffey, who had stayed up there near second thinking it might fall in, did not get back, and it's an 8-3 double play, and the side is retired. Ken Griffey doubled at first. The Reds picked up 3 runs in the inning. They had 2 hits, there were 2 errors, and there were none left. And in the middle of the 8th inning, the score is the Reds 5 and the Mets 1.
You asked for a tough team and you got it. The 77 lineup of Toyota trucks. Leading off, Toyota's standard bed. It's Toyota's most inexpensive half-ton, yet it's built as tough and rugged as the top of the line. Next up, Toyota's long bed deluxe. This baby's got muscle. A 2.2-liter engine with an extra long 7-foot bed. And batting cleanup, Toyota's SR5 sport truck. This baby's got some style. 5-speed overdrive transmission, high-back bucket seats, and wall-to-wall carpeting. All standard. Season after season, Toyota trucks are going to drive you home. You asked for a quality team, you got it. Toyota.
It's going to be a great summer. Not only because the Mets have come alive, but because right now you can save on everything you need for your home and family. In Channel's Summer Living Sale, you'll find hundreds and hundreds of super buys at Channel right now. So hurry. Hurry to your nearest Channel Home Center in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania and save like never before.
When it comes to making your home a better place to live, Channel is the best partner you can have.
Cincinnati Reds have made a defensive move now. They brought Cesar Geronimo into center, and they moved George Foster to left. So Geronimo bats number 8 in place of Ed Armbruster, who came out of the ballgame. The Reds have a 5-1 lead. The Mets are coming up in the bottom of the 8th to face Tom Seaver. And Bruce Beauclair will bat for Lockwood. Bruce Beauclair is a left-hand batter hitting .263, 4 homers and 27 runs batted in. Paul Siebert and Bob Apodaca throwing in the Met bullpen. Lockwood pitched 2/3 of an inning. And here's the pitch. Inside for a ball. 1-0 to Bruce Beauclair. Tom Seaver came into this game with a record of 13 wins and 5 losses. He has struck out 8 and walked 1. That's in for a called strike. It's 1-1. Seaver offers 1-1, and that's low for a ball. With the Mets this year, Seaver had a record of 7 wins and 3 losses and an ERA of 3.0. With the Reds coming into today's game, he had won 6 and lost 2 with a 3.07 ERA. That's high for a ball. 3-1 to Bruce Beauclair. Lenny Randall's waiting on deck. And that is low for a ball, so Beauclair draws a walk. Only the second walk issued by Seaver gives the Mets a base runner in the bottom of the 8th inning and brings up Lenny Randall. He is flied to left, grounded out pitcher to first, and struck out 0 for 3. Johnny Bench walking out toward the mound for a word with Seaver, and we're getting some warm-up action. Pedro Bourbon gets up to throw. Pedro Bourbon is throwing in the bullpen now for the Cincinnati Reds as Bench talks to Tom Seaver. Randall backs out of the batter's box for a moment. Plate umpire Jim Quick takes off his mask. Joe Torre pointing toward something or other. And he has sent John Stearns out there on deck. Stearns is on deck as a prospective pinch batter for Bud Harrelson. That's a swing and a foul ball off and out of play. 0-1 the count to Lenny Randall. It's been an emotional, electric afternoon at the ballpark. The crowd came here all charged up. The ball players came here all charged up. Seaver coming back for the first time in an alien uniform to oppose his former teammates. And now time is called again, and plate umpires pointing down left field line. I don't know whether it's a mirror. Sometimes it is. Something up in the stands, and could be a camera. There is a news crew up there with a camera at the first landing. But something is bothering Joe Torre, and accordingly it's bothering plate umpire Jim Quick. And whatever it is, apparently it's been taken care of. Something like that happens. It's usually a reflection of some kind coming out of the stands that could be in the eyes of a left-hand batter, and the Mets have a left-hand batter up there. Here's an 0-1 pitch. And that is in there for a called strike. 0-2 to Randall. This will be an 0-2 offering. In there for a called strike 3. Curveball caught him looking. Randall argues the call with umpire Jim Quick, but it's strikeout number 9 for Seaver. Bud Harrelson is scheduled to bat, but it's going to be John Stearns batting for Harrelson. Simply a case of the Mets trailing by 4 runs, and Joe Torre wants to get a man up there who can possibly get the long hit, might hit it out. Harrelson struck out, then singled, and later scored the Met run. Stearns has 11 homers and 46 runs batted in. Whatever that is up there is still bothering the umpires, and play has been suspended once again. It's a light. It is a news crew up in the stands, and they have a floodlight, and that's what it is. And they are ducked down now as the umpires have suspended play. They're in the crowd, a film crew, and they have a floodlight with the camera, and when they turn on that floodlight, it can be blinding to players on the field, and so the umpires converge this time. The news crew simply sits down up there, sort of hiding, and now the specials are going down to see about it so that play can continue. It's a camera crew, and they had a floodlight. Now the specials go to speak to him. We're ready to play. Here's a pitch, and it is in there for a called strike. 0-1. Beauclair takes his lead at first. Here's Seaver's pitch, and it's swung on and missed by Stearns. 0-2. Stearns leads the Mets in homers with 11. Cranepool and Milner both have 10. Seaver's 0-2 pitch outside for a ball. It's 1-2. Steve Henderson is on deck with one man out. Beauclair again takes his lead. Dan Driesen playing behind the runner at first. The Reds are leading 5-1. Seaver's pitch hit on the ground toward third, taken by Rose. He goes over to Morgan. There's one to throw to first in time, and a double play. 5-4-3 around the horn. Stearns has hit into an inning-ending double play. There was a walk and there were none left. And at the end of 8 innings, the score is the Reds 5 and the Mets 1.
If you're like most buyers of regular gasoline, you probably think unleaded gasolines just don't perform. Sure, unleaded gives you a nice, clean engine, but it just doesn't have the pep of your regular. Or for that matter, the low price. Well, you regular buyers are in for a little surprise. Getty Unleaded Regular. Getty's unleaded gasoline has a high enough octane to be classified as regular. Most unleadeds don't. Yet Getty Unleaded Regular actually sells for less per gallon than most other major unleadeds. So if you want the octane performance of regular, plus the clean running smoothness of unleaded, and you want to pay less, you want Getty Unleaded Regular. Getty. Once again, we've got what's best for your car.
For the New York Mets now, Bob Apodaca comes in to do the pitching. And he'll bat second, and Leo Foster comes into the game at second base. So it is a double change made by the Mets. Apodaca is in to make his 46th appearance. He has won 3 and lost 5. Last time out against the Cardinals, he won an inning, allowed no runs and no hits. Doug Flynn has moved to short as Foster has taken over at second. Harrelson removed for the pinch hitter, John Stearns. So Foster bats number 9 in the order. Apodaca bats number 2 in the order. And the Reds coming up here in the top of the 9th inning will have Johnny Bench, Dave Concepcion, and Dan Driesen at the plate. To this point, through 8 innings of play, it's the Cincinnati Reds 5 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. The Mets 1 run, 5 hits, and 2 errors. Cincinnati Reds started the day trailing the Dodgers by 9.5 in the West. And the Dodgers are leading in their ball game. 5-1 over the Cubs in the bottom of the 6th, and Cincinnati's leading here. Johnny Bench. Walk, lined out, grounded out, 0 for 2 and a walk. Curveball swung on and missed. It's strike 1. Apodaca started him off with a big breaking pitch. Bench stays right in the batter's box. Here's the delivery. And that's inside low. So it's 1-1. The outfield defense is straight away. Hit on the ground, foul back at third. One and 2 the count. Johnny Bench moves back into the batter's box now. And this will be a 1-2 delivery. Swung on, hit up the alley and left center, and moving over is Mazzilli. He can't get it. It's going to be one hop from the wall. Johnny Bench is on his way to second, and he coasts in with a double. That is 2-base hit number 27 for Johnny Bench. Well, I can tell you what the booing is about. It's about a youngster who jumped over the railing, went out into the warning track to retrieve a baseball, and then he scampered back up into the seats, and he is being ejected from the ballpark for having gone onto the field during the course of the game. Concepcion is at the plate, and the pitch is inside for a ball. It's 1-0. Johnny Bench takes his lead. The Reds are out front 5-1. Apodaca's pitch is hit on the ground to third. Taken there. Foul ball. Throw across in time, but it's a foul ball. Third base umpire Bruce Frumming made the call. That was one of those cases where the bounding ball went foul on that last hop before it got to the bag. Randall himself was in fair territory, but the ball was in foul territory on the hop. And it's the juxtaposition of the ball and the foul line that counts, and so Concepcion comes back to the plate. Johnny Bench leads at second base. Apodaca kicks and fires. The breaking pitch is low, and it's 2-1. And now plate umpire Jim Quick wants to look at the ball, and he leaves it in play. Tomorrow night, Pat Zachary will be pitching for the Mets. Zachary, obtained by the Mets from the Cincinnati Reds in the Seaver deal. James Rodney Richard will go for the Houston Astros. And then Tuesday afternoon, the Mets are going to pitch Espinosa. Low for a ball. The Astros have not yet announced their starter for Tuesday. Three and 1 is the count to Concepcion. Reds are batting in the top of the ninth inning. Swinging a foul ball. It's back and out of play. Runs the count full at 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out and a runner at second base. Apodaca staring in for the sign from Ron Hodges, who has caught this entire ball game. Here's a 3-2. Hit on the ground, deep short, taken by Flynn. He's got a long way to go across the diamond in time to get Concepcion. Holding at second, Johnny Bench, no advance. And that will bring up Dan Dreesen. Had a base hit, lined out, struck out, 1 for 3.
First baseman, Dan Dreesen.
Kuzman pitched the first 7 1/3 for the Mets. Here's an intentional walk being issued to Dreesen, and then with the force play set up, they'll work to Geronimo. Outside ball 2. Kuzman gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, struck out 5, walked 2. Those 3 runs scored by the Reds in the 8th inning were all unearned runs. And proved to be Kuzman's undoing. Dreesen now goes to first. The intentional walk puts runners first and second and brings up Geronimo for the first time today. Geronimo is hitting .258. He has 8 homers and 42 runs batted in. He's a left-hand batter. And the pitch. In there for a called strike. It's 0-1. Runners again lead at first and second. Apodaca delivers. There's a foul ball off the end of the bat and off the screen. So it's 0-2 to Geronimo. Runners take their leads again. Foul off and out of play. Count holds at 2 strikes to Geronimo. Paid crowd here this afternoon, 46,265, and the total crowd in the ballpark, 47,714. Runners lead, and here's the 0-2. Inside low for a ball, it's 1-2. We have a whole raft of media representatives out here this afternoon. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and foul on the ground, back of first, out of play. A continuing count of 1-2 to Cesar Geronimo. Johnny Bench returning to second base. Dan Dreesen returning to first. Geronimo's back in. Swinging the bat loosely. Now he cocks it. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. Apodaca strikes him out. 2 away. Tom Seaver is coming up. Seaver getting a hand here as he comes up in the ninth. Touches the bill of his helmet in acknowledgement. Big sign is being held up down there. It says Seaver lives. Seaver scored 2 runs. Hit into a double play his first time up, but double the next time, and was on an error by Harrelson the next time. Swinging a foul ball back and out of play for strike 1. 0-1 to Seaver. And batting twice, Apodaca. Or rather, Kuzman flied to right and struck out. There's a pitch low for a ball. So up to now, Seaver has got the best of the batting contest and the pitching contest of the day. Here's the 1-1. And it is low for a ball. It's 2-1. Cincinnati runners take their leads first and second. Swinging a foul ball, back and out of play. It's 2-2. One would have to say that the strong performance by Tom Seaver here this afternoon has been no surprise, most of all to the New York Mets, who for so many years saw him perform as the finest right-hander in baseball at that time. It is simply the first time that they have had occasion to oppose him. Apodaca shakes aside. And here's a 2-2 pitch. Hit on the ground, he's short. Taken there by Flynn. Over to second. To Leo Foster, and the side is retired. 6-4 force. There was a leadoff double, a subsequent walk, and there were 2 men left. In the middle of the 9th inning, the score is the Reds 5 and the Mets 1.
If all you need is money, come on into HFC. Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
If you're thinking about a nice, faraway vacation, but money's keeping you close to home, come on into Household Finance. With an HFC travel loan, you could get away from it all, far away from it all.
Come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
HFC, an equal opportunity lender.
So come on in, come on in, come on in to HFC.
Household Finance, where people use our money to get the most out of life.
Come on in to HFC.
At Household Finance, you may borrow up to $2,500 and choose from a wide variety of repayment loans. For a large or small loan, call HFC in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. See your phone book for the Household Finance office nearest you.
The New York Mets are come up now to face Seaver in the bottom of the 9th inning with the Reds out front by a score of 5-1. Seaver has struck out 9 and walked 2 to this point. And the Mets will be sending up Steve Henderson, Ed Kranepool, and John Milner. There was 1 point in the bottom of the 6th inning when this game might have turned around. At that time, Cincinnati was leading by 1 run. The Mets had 2 men on, and Ed Kranepool belted Seaver's first pitch a long way down to the right field corner, but a foul ball. Had it been straightened out, it would have been a 3-run homer. Kranepool delivered a subsequent sacrifice fly. Here's Henderson. He's had 2 hits today. He's 2 for 3. Struck out the first time and then delivered 2 singles. Seaver rocks into the motion, and the curveball misses for ball one. Seaver struck out 9. Only one time this year has he struck out 10. And that's his high. And that was pitching for the Mets against the Cincinnati Reds a short time before he was traded. Here's the 1-0. Hopped in there for a called strike. It's 1-1. Henderson back in. And this will be the 1-1 pitch. Curveball foul back and out of play. 1-2. To this point, the Reds have 5 runs, 8 hits, no errors. The Mets 1 run, 5 hits, 2 errors. The strong pitching performance of Jerry Koosman here this afternoon came as no surprise, most of all, to the Mets as well. He has always been one who has pitched his best in big ball games. That pitch is high. This was not a big ball game as far as the... It is the 61st time that Seaver has been in double figures in strikeouts in his career. Ed Kranepool's coming up. Kranepool is 1 for 2 and the sacrifice fly that drove in a run. Seaver now rocks into the motion, and the pitch to the Crane. Curveball, and it's low. Ball 1. 1-0. Seaver will be having dinner tonight at his home in Connecticut with some of his former Met teammates. That pitch is outside for a ball. It's 2-0. Johnny Bench flashes the sign. Seaver offers the 2-0. Swung on and fouled off to the left side, out of play. 2-1. Two balls and a strike. Swing, and it's a base hit and through to center field for Ed Kranepool. Turns and holds as Geronimo returns the ball, and Kranepool has his second hit of the day. Number 6 for the Mets in the game. And it brings up John Milner. With the Reds leading 5-1, the Mets have a runner at first and 1 man out in the bottom of the 9th inning. Milner's gone 0 for 3. Fouled out, fouled out, fouled out. At first base, Dreesen plays behind the runner. Seaver's pitch is foul. Low bridge first base coach Joe Pignatano. A line shot pull by Milner. 0-1. Ron Hodges has moved up on deck. Seaver rubbing the ball up now as he walks back toward the mound. Kranepool is strolling off the bag. Seaver delivers. Swung on and popped up foul back into the seats and out of play. 2-strike count to Milner. Milner comes back in. Kranepool leads at first. Seaver off the stretch. The 0-2 pitch. Swung on it on the ground to second. Morgan bobbles it now, picks it up, goes to first in time. Kranepool goes to second. Looked like a sure double play ball that would end the game. But it was bobbled by Morgan, and he had to settle for the out at first base, allowing Kranepool to go to second. 2 men out. The Mets are down to their last out of the ball game, and Ron Hodges is coming up. Hodges has gone 0 for 3. He was the catcher in today's ball game in order to get another left-handed bat in the order against Seaver. Here's a swing and a foul ball. Back and out of play. It's strike 1. Seaver takes the return throw from Bench, walks around, inscribing a circle before arriving at the crown of the mound, and now he sets it up. Kicks and fires, and the pitch is way outside for a ball. So it's 1-1 now to Ron Hodges. Cincinnati Reds 5, the New York Mets 1. Seaver shakes a sign. Now the 1-1.
way outside, so it's 2-1. Two balls and a strike. Seaver's pitch swung on and foul back. It's out of play. 2-2. It's one big banner hanging off the upper deck that says, "Tom, we will never forget." Seaver takes a look around his outfield now. Ready to work a 2-2 pitch. Fans are starting a little applause, figuring it might end right here. And it does. A strike down the pipe, strikeout number 11. And Seaver is getting another hand. Johnny Bitch goes out to shake his hand. Sparky Anderson, the manager, walking out. Pete Rose comes over to shake Seaver's hand. Sparky Anderson meets him. Pitching coach Larry Shepard. Rest of the Cincinnati Reds had had to greet Seaver. George Sugar, as he is disappearing into the dugout, tipping his cap as he goes. Seaver, who had ovations here all day long, and he got a fastball in that around Hodges to end the ball game for his 11th strikeout, and the Cincinnati Reds won it. Seaver comes back out now to doff his cap all the way around. He's outside the dugout, waves his cap again to the fans who respond, and he slips on the steps going back down. For the second time today, he almost fell on his you-know-what. As he went down the steps, he slipped again, but regained his composure and disappeared into the tunnel leading up to the locker room. And so, in the 9th inning, there was one hit and there was one man left. We'll be back in a moment with the final summary and totals. Right now, the final score of the game is Cincinnati Reds 5 and the New York Mets 1.
Taste Schaefer beer, consistently great Schaefer. From first beer to your last, it goes straight to your thirst, to your thirst. Beer after beer, the same great tasting Schaefer. Your last one always tastes as good as your first.
Schaefer consistency starts with country pure water heading for the Schaefer Brewery in Lehigh Valley. There's Schaefer's Kreuzen Brood, that's brewing twice. For over 130 years, it's given Schaefer a smooth, crisp, consistently great taste. Schaefer consistency. Put it to the test. You'll find your last one tastes as good as your first.
Beer after beer, the same great tasting Schaefer. Your last one always tastes as good as your first.
Schaefer Brewing Company, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania.
Well, the matchup of Tom Seaver and Jerry Koosman as the Mets met the Cincinnati Reds produced just about what one might expect. A brilliant pitching performance from Tom Seaver, who obviously was charged up by the emotion of the occasion, coming back to pitch against his former teammates for the first time. And Jerry Koosman, likewise, pitching a splendid baseball game, finally undone by shoddy work on the part of his mates on the infield that produced 3 unearned runs in a late inning to get him out of the ball game. Cincinnati Reds scored early when Pete Rose doubled to right field. He moved over on an infield out, and George Foster, who leads the league in runs batted in yet another one to score Pete Rose, and so the Cincinnati Reds were out front. As it turned out, they were out front to stay. They did not get another run, however, off Koosman until the 5th inning, when with 2 men out, Tom Seaver doubled. And then Pete Rose singled him home, and the Cincinnati Reds had a 2-run lead. The Mets did not get to Seaver until the 4th inning for a base hit. He had retired the first 11 men that he faced. Steve Henderson single and Ed Cranpool single in the 4th. That did not produce a run. They got the first run in the 6th inning, when with 1 man out, Bud Harrelson slapped the ball through into center field for a base hit. Steve Henderson delivered the second of 2 base hits he was to get for the day. And Ed Cranpool, after missing a 3-run homer with a long foul drive into the right field corner, lofted a sacrifice fly to left, after which Harrelson tagged and scored the only Met run. Cincinnati Reds then got 3 unearned runs off Koosman in the 8th inning, when Tom Seaver was on an error by Harrelson at shortstop. Pete Rose hit what might have been a double play ball, but there was an error committed on it. Joe Morgan singled to drive in a run, and Ken Griffey singled to drive in 2 more, and at that point, Koosman came out of the game. Koosman pitched 7 1/3, gave up 5 runs on 7 hits. He struck out 7, and he walked 2, but lost the ball game to Tom Seaver. as the Cincinnati Reds won it by a final score of 5-1. We'll be back with more of the wrap-up in just a moment, right after this message.
If you buy unleaded gasoline, you may have noticed that lead isn't the only thing missing. It's probably pretty low on performance, too. That's because most unleadeds just don't have a high enough octane rating to give you the performance you want, the performance you used to get from your regular. In fact, according to standards set by the American Society for Testing and Materials, the people who set gasoline standards used by the federal and state governments, very few unleaded gasolines have a high enough octane to be called regular. To help you choose between them, one usually sells for less. Getty. Getty Unleaded Regular gives you the clean running engine you expect from an unleaded, plus the octane performance you want. And you pay less than you would for most other major unleadeds. Now think a minute. Why settle for an unleaded gasoline that's below regular when you can get one that's regular? Getty Unleaded Regular. Once again, we've got what's best for your car.
There was a paid crowd of 46,265 here this afternoon. A total crowd of 47,714. Seaver struck out 11, his high for the year. Previously, he had reached double figures only one time that season. That is when he struck out 10 Cincinnati Reds as a New York Met before he was traded. He walked only 2 in giving up 1 run on 6 hits. So here are the final totals for the Cincinnati Reds. 5 runs on 8 hits and no errors. For the Mets, 1 run on 6 hits and 2 errors. Seaver the winner. He's won 14 and lost 5. Kuzman the loser. He is 8-15. Again, the final score, Cincinnati 5 and the Mets 1. In the Schaefer Met Player of the Year competition, Ed Kranepool gets 4 points for 2 base hits and 1 run batted in. Jerry Kuzman gets 2 points for his pitching performance through 7 1/3 innings. And Steve Henderson gets 2 points for 2 base hits. Now here's the Getty Unleaded player for the game. And he is Ed Kranepool for his 2 hits and his 1 run batted in against Seaver. For his efforts, Ed Kranepool receives Getty gift certificates, good towards the purchase of Getty Unleaded Regular. Mets baseball has been brought to you by Household Finance, the company that has solved more financial problems for more people than anyone else in their business. So come on into HFC, Household Finance. Shea beer, your last one tastes as good as your first. Astoria Federal Savings, one of the fastest growing savings institutions in the nation. Getty Premium and Getty Unleaded Regular, the higher octane gasoline with a lower price. By Dairy Lee, brought to you by the good folks of Dairy Lee, famous over 50 years for fresh dairy products. By Toyota. Toyota hopes you've enjoyed today's New York Mets game. You asked for it, you got it. And by Channel, it's a whole lot more than a lumber store. Our statistician, Arthur Friedman, our engineer, Ron Ehrenberg. Stay tuned for the post-game show coming up with scores of other games all around the major leagues. We'll be back here tomorrow night with the New York Mets and the Houston Astros. We'll be on the air with the play-by-play at 8 p.m. Until then, speaking for Bob Murphy and Ralph Kiner, this is Lindsey Nelson saying so long on WNEW 1130 Metro Media Radio in New York, the home of the Mets. This is the post-game show. I'm Lindsey Nelson for Chip Sapola, and here are the scores. In the National League, the Houston Astros are in Philadelphia to play the division-leading Philadelphia Phillies in a rare Sunday night game. The Phils have won 16 of their last 17 games, started the day with a 5.5 game lead over the second-place Pittsburgh Pirates. The Atlanta Braves and the Montreal Expos are now in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the Montreal Expos are leading in the game by a score of 10-4. Dick Ruthven 4-9 for Atlanta, Dwayne Thies in the 7th inning, Stan Bonson 7-5 for Montreal, Don Stanhouse in the 4th. Jeff Burrows hit his 32nd home of the year in the 1st with 2 on, and Del Unser hit his 12th in the 6th with 1 on. San Francisco Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates are now in the 9th inning, and the San Francisco Giants are leading it by a score of 5-4. John Montefusco started for the Giants, 6-9. Gary Lavelle in the 6th, John Curtis in the 8th, Randy Moffett in the 8th. Bruce Keeson 6-6 for Pittsburgh, Rich Gossage in the 6th inning. Gary Thomason hit his 14th homer in the 6th with nobody on. Darrell Evans hit his 13th in the 8th with 1 man on. The Dodgers are in Chicago, and at Wrigley Field it's the bottom of the 9th inning. The Dodgers 5 and the Chicago Cubs 1. Rick Rhoden 13-8 against Dennis Lamp, no record. Pete Broberg in the 6th, Paul Rushell in the 8th. Rhoden hit his 3rd homer in the 2nd with nobody on for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who started the day with a lead of 9 1/2 games over the second-place Cincinnati Reds. The Reds have won here. It looks as though the Dodgers will win in Chicago, in which case they would retain a 9 1/2 game lead over the second-place Cincinnati Reds. San Diego Padres are in St. Louis, and that game is in the 9th inning with San Diego leading 7-0. Bob Ochenko 5-8 for San Diego. Tom Underwood started for St. Louis. Raleigh Eastwick in the 5th. Butch Metzger in the 8th inning. Dave Kingman hit his 19th homer. In the 1st, it was a grand slammer. San Diego got 5 runs in the inning. Lou Brock has stolen a base, number 888 in his career, as he approaches the all-time career record of Ty Cobb, 892. Brock needs 4 more to tie and 5 more to set a new career record. Over in the American League, the New York Yankees, who have won 7 in a row and 12 of their last 13, are at Texas against the Rangers, and that's a game to be played in Arlington, Texas tonight. Milwaukee Brewers are at Chicago White Sox are at Milwaukee in a doubleheader, and Milwaukee won the first game by a score of 7-1. Moose Haas, the winner, he's 9-8. Ken Kravik, the loser, he's 7-6. Jim Wolford hit his second home in the 3rd with nobody on. Ken McMillan hit his 4th in the 4th with 1 on, and Chet Lemon hit his 17th in the 8th inning with nobody on. The Baltimore Orioles are at Minnesota. That game's in the 7th inning, and Minnesota is leading by a score of 8-5. Rudy May started for Baltimore. Scott McGregor in the 6th inning. Jeff Zahn for Minnesota. Ron Shula in the 5th. Elliot Maddox hit his second home in the 1st with nobody on, and Andres Mora hit his 11th in the 5th with 1 man on. The Boston Red Sox and the Kansas City Royals are in a 3-3 tie in the 7th inning. Don Ossie 3-1 against Paul Splittorff, 10-6. Cleveland Indians are at Oakland later. The Toronto Blue Jays are at California against the Angels. The warm-ups are Jeff Bird 2-6 against Franklin Anna, who's won 14 and lost 6 for California. The Detroit Tigers are at Seattle against the expansion Mariners, who've lost 12 of their last 14 games. Jack Morris 1-1 against Paul Mitchell 1-1. And here at Shea Stadium in New York, the Cincinnati Reds swept the series with the New York Mets, making it 4 in a row in this series, and they won it by a score of 5-1. Tom Seaver went all the way to get the win, his 14th of the year. He struck out 11, his half of the year, and he walked only 2. For the New York Mets, Jerry Kuzman worked the first 7 1/3 and took the loss. He struck out 7, and he walked 2 in the ball game. And so the final score here was the Cincinnati Reds 5 and the New York Mets 1, as we had a paid crowd of 46,265 on hand for the ball game. And that is the New York Mets post-game show. Chip Sapola will be back at 7:50 tomorrow evening before the Mets take on the Houston Astros. 7:50 airtime for Chip Sapola's pregame show. So this is Lindsey Nelson speaking for Chip Sapola, and you're tuned to WNEW 1130 Metro Media Radio in New York, the home of the New York Mets. Now here's Bill St. James.